So now the story has to change. Now they're saying Trump was colluding.
Well, hold on.
Where it used to...
Does it make sense that maybe?
Why would Russia want Hillary in?
If they're privy to Hillary, if they're privy to the 16-year plan to destroy America, and they're privy to, because I've had it in my mind that she was going to manage the economic decline in America. And no?
But then I got to ask the question.
Explain Ukraine.
The Ukraine civil war began in 2014. What they were trying to do is create pressure point to two nuclear power states. We're basically on the verge of war, and that's where we've been.
Some of all fear scenario. That's that some of all fear scenario. What? Between Russia and America?
Yes, Russia and the US.
Just like some of all fears. Okay.
Take
Yeah, I might need to redo that one.
Put that another step because I listened completely to what they say. They have no intention of doing anything. In fact, Putin said, you want to go that way? I do. I've got my red button off, he said. Referring to the reset. Remember the reset?
I thought that was a reference to
That was all of the stuff the noise around Crimea. They still say Russia's occupying Crimea, when in fact that's not true. So I'm just saying, if you're trying to create even the impression of a Cold War redux.
Yeah. Inside the FBI headquarters is a secret room containing 2 million records. This burn bag room was uncovered by the FBI, and now the nonprofit group Judicial Watch is suing for government transparency and accountability. The group filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the Justice Department in hopes of questioning the agency about their handling of the records, including who discovered the burn bag room and when, who had access to it, and how records ended up stored in the burn bags in the first place. The FBI responded to the suit by telling a federal court that at a rate of 500 pages a month, processing the records could take roughly 158 years. There are two categories: legacy or historic files and recent files tied to high-profile investigations. President Trump even used the term burn bag when he gave a speech in July about election interference, claiming the records tied to past investigations, including the Russia collusion cases, were supposed to be destroyed. Joining me now is Director of Investigations and Research at Judicial Watch, Chris Farrell, and former FBI Special Agent Jonathan Gilliam. Chris, first to you. As a career investigator, does this sound like a big black hole where past FBI directors have been burying embarrassing records?
It is. There's nearly 2 million documents in that room, and they go back years. And of course, they also touch on very recent developments and investigations, like the Jack Smith investigation. They're not controlled. They're not even, the Department of Justice and FBI says they're not even really sure what's there. And so there's this enormous trove of records and documents. They're not controlled, they're not indexed, that no one knows what they are. It's a real concern, not just for open transparency and FOIA kind of work, but even from other nations. You know, MI5 asked a question of the FBI about a particular counterintelligence issue. They don't even know what they have as far as records or holdings. Or let's say NYPD Intelligence Division has a question and they go to check with the FBI. They don't even know what they have in this room. It's really disgraceful.
Well, it sounds like they don't know what they have by design. Jonathan is a seasoned FBI agent. Who at the FBI leadership level would have the power and authority to do this?
Well, I don't know. That's very interesting, this whole thing about a burn bag room and the fact that these the excuse that the FBI is giving that it would take 158 years to go through this, when, you know, Chris knows, Catherine, I believe you know, everything that we do, every keystroke that we make is recorded on a database. It's not like these documents just exist. with nothing to back them up. So first off, let's talk about who's in charge now and what they could be doing. If I want to go and look at every single thing that I've ever done on the internet, I can go and find an app that does AI that can pull everything down and basically write a book for me on my philosophies. So you're telling me that the FBI can't have an app go through and look for keywords in all of these and find all these documents? I'm just not believing that at all. So I believe, first of all, something's going on with the leadership there now that is not telling us what we need to know. And secondly, I've never heard of any policy that gives specific authority to directors to have this ability to have their own burn room and keep
a burn room.
information
it's like
from
a
investigators.
Crazy thing, right? I mean, burn bags, burn rooms. I mean, Chris, I just want to pick up on what Jonathan was saying. There has to be a faster way to, if there's a will, there's a way, right? Whether it's AI or some other method. So is it the position of Judicial Watch that this 158 years is just kind of a made-up number to sort of slow roll the whole process?
It's preposterous. Jonathan's exactly correct. A smart paralegal could knock out 500 pages in an afternoon when it comes to document reviews. So 500 pages in a month is insulting. It's idiotic. Look, they could scan every document in the room, use AI to categorize and sort it, and they could have an answer in a matter of days if they wanted to. And that's the problem. They don't want to. They're involved in legal gamesmanship and slow rolling this thing. I don't know why. You know, at the time, then Deputy Director Bongino made this sort of spontaneous utterance at the end of an interview on Fox-n-Friends. And he warned Americans that they would be shocked, stunned at what they found. And now they're playing this little kind of cutesy-patsy game of, well, we know what it is, but we're not going to tell you. And we could review it, but it's going to take almost 200 years. This is very disingenuous and dishonest. The American public, and for that matter, President Trump, is not well served.
Jonathan, I'm just thinking about the sheer volume of records. I'm notorious for hanging on to records and documents way too long, but I have nothing approaching what someone is describing here. It sounds like it had to be built up over years. So multiple FBI directors or their closest associates were using this room as a dumping ground.
Very well could be. At first, we just thought it was a couple of bags. I mean, I remember talking with you about this. We thought, oh, my goodness, they found a couple bags that looked like somebody panicked and put some bags somewhere. But the more this story unfolds, the more we're starting to find out is that this was a private storage room in FBI headquarters for executives. And that really, again, makes no sense because these documents, everything is on a hard database somewhere. And even the ones that they're talking about from the CIA or any of these other agencies, it's on a hard database somewhere. So it's very, very odd to me why they would keep millions of documents in a burn room when everybody else is required. If you're going to dispose of this, it gets burnt. That's why it's in a burn room. Not just shredded, it gets burnt. And so this doesn't make any sense to me why this legacy room, this mysterious room would exist for a long period of time. And it also answers the question as well, Catherine, that everybody's wondering, did somebody put these bags, these few bags aside on purpose? It appears now as though that was not the case, if what we're hearing is true, that this is just a place where the executives put their information.
Just in the final few seconds, Chris, I guess what bothers me about this is that we have no idea about the classification of these records. One has to operate on the assumption that there is classified information there, so you have an FBI that is mishandling classified information, which is a federal crime at the end of the day.
Right. The building or the room that you're describing is a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility, which is sort of the holy of holies where the real secrets are kept. But the representations they've made to the court are that they have no idea even what's in there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really the problem. Is that
the problem.
They are out of control.
Yeah,
and
they're out of control. And we'll just have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Jonathan Gilliam and Chris Farrell, thanks so much.
Welcome, Patriots, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Feisty Diggs, episode 55. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. It is 4:13 on the East Coast, and it is good to be here. And we got a feisty cat and a mare bear on deck here. Hey, ladies, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Had a good show yesterday.
How did that go?
I thought it went well. I did part 2 of the Weatherman dig on the Terrace group.
Weatherman Underground.
Mm-hmm. The next one I'm working on doing a dossier of the members. So each one I'll be... I may be biting off more than I can chew on that one. It may take me a bit, but I want to go through all the top leadership and look at their parents, their grandparents, because some of them were legacy communists, red diaper babies.
Oh.
And then, like, their grandparents were some of the founding members of the Communist Party in America, and then some of them represented Castro when he sued the United States government in the 60s. Some of them, like, they were not radicalized in college, is what I'm getting at.
Really?
And, like, the Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn, you know, when... what's his face? The two, it was a couple. They were involved in a mass, it was a mass killing and robbery in New York. You know who I'm talking about,
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yep.
The ones that Cuomo, he pardoned them.
Pardoned,
but their
yeah.
son, Chesa Bodine, is a Soros-funded kid. He's the one that was the DA in San Francisco that ran it into the ground. Well, when they were incarcerated, Bill Ayers and Bernadine raised him.
Oh, my gosh.
You see where I'm going with...
And Obama fits in there somewhere, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He came out for his Senate election in their living room. He announced it back in the day.
Wow.
Not even presidential, Senate. And Bill Ayers ghost wrote one of his memoirs, the one about his father.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bill Ayers that wrote that.
Wow. This is
That's
right
what
up.
I was doing yesterday.
This is right up Feisty's alley.
Oh, we have many discussions about this.
I bet.
Oh, yes.
What'd you
Yes,
think of that opening
Obama-
clip?
I loved it.
Yes.
Does it not feel like something came to a head?
It's been a fun day.
Regarding the FBI, certainly.
Well, everything. We got a convergence happening.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since Tulsi in June, we've got a definite convergence. And everything is connected, right? So
Yeah.
we'll talk about timely for my deck today, but
Well, it
but
certainly
really
seems
does-
so.
It all comes together. Everything actually does come together. And the burn room, I laugh every time I hear them complain about it.
I just heard Catherine Herridge belly laugh. Like I've
right?
never heard her
I've
laugh
never
like
heard her
that.
do that.
She's a very serious one.
She is.
Yeah.
She takes her craft very seriously, which is why a lot of us take a
So
lot
when
of
she
stock.
belly laughs like that, you need to stop and really think about what's being discussed.
That's fair, yeah. And you're right. There is a lot going on, but I guess many might see it as a quote slow news day. However, if you read,
slow.
I agree. But if you read between the lines, Trump just and all right. So I was supposed to start off with a different clip. Full transparency. It was agreed upon. I was going to start off with a clip of Trump announcing
So color me surprised when I see Catherine Herridge.
Yeah, I know. Unveiling.
I was like, maybe I misheard what he said.
I know. I was like, okay.
And I put it
I
in
can
the
roll.
I put it in the Zoom chat. I said, "Ooh, look what I found a Catherine Herridge clip at the last second at the 11th hour," and I decided to go with that one. Yes, and we were going to start with President Trump unveiling a major new announcement on childhood vaccines, which is
And
big.
I dropped the White House fact sheet in the Diggs folder.
Yes.
Oh, great! So that's which clip would tie into what you're going to unveil today?
Actually,
The burn bags, probably. Come on.
the burn bags do, but they both.
Yeah.
Today's deck more the burn bags.
Yeah.
The overall story, they both fit.
Yeah. And then Fauci, Ron Johnson
Text message.
has, oh boy,
Yeah, he knew.
Fauci's
he
text
knew
messages.
that-
Yikes.
He knew that women that were taking the COVID vaccine, COVID death vax,
Mm-hmm.
were
Gonna miss
We're having
Kit.
issues with their cycles, and nothing was said.
And you got leftist mainstream media running cover. And
Right.
I mean, it's unbearable.
Okay, I don't know. Do you see that too?
Yes.
They keep coming out. They immediately try to cry foul over
Yes.
it, and then something else gets piled on.
One with
They are being-
Bhattacharya, I think I just
Yeah.
saw. Margaret Brennan, and I think it was Bhattacharya.
Bhattacharya.
Oh my gosh, she was especially vitriolic, and he held his ground.
You can hear the snakes.
Oh my gosh,
tongue,
it
right?
was so pathetic. Transparent for us, but is it transparent for everybody, even their audience? I don't know.
Well, at some point it's transparent for everybody because their behavior, their reactions are getting worse, right? First it was laughing, then it was mocking, then it was,
Yeah.
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then it's, there's nothing in there. Don't even bother looking at it to that kind of a reaction today.
Yeah.
I mean, you're watching the media get taken down.
And
here's the funny part. I don't think these wonderful people have a clue that they're the target.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I don't think I don't think largely our community recognizes that either. We just maybe see them as kind of in the way, so to speak. But yeah,
well, yeah, but how do you get to a point where you can actually talk deep skinny with the public? You've got to render the media,
you got to neuter it,
impotent, right?
Yeah,
you got to completely take down any trust anybody has. Now we know the media has very low trust, lower than Congress, which is a lot. But at the same time, people still hang on. They still turn on their Fox. They still turn on, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
They still turn on CNN.
Yep.
So at some point, you've got to make it to the point where people are so disgusted, they only turn on Trump.
Right.
Right. And and in case you hadn't noticed, the White House YouTube site, the White House X page, they're doing a lot more shorts. They're doing a lot more, communication in that sense. So you're watching them carefully replace what the media isn't doing.
Yeah. Yep. And
it's fun to watch. At least it is for me.
I agree. And there's other issues that I hope can be tackled at some point here because, and I've always held this stance now regarding communism, this seemingly rise of DSA, cough, communism. I've always felt the best way to combat it is improve the economy, improve kitchen table issues. That's typically what your average everyday American voter votes based upon is those kitchen table issues. The dreaded word affordability, which that's inflation. Let's just be honest. It's inflation.
Well, can I add to that? What's the greatest form of inflation we face right now?
The greatest form of inflation?
Yeah, people don't even realize it. Your dollar's only worth like 5 cents.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The dollar has completely collapsed. People don't even realize it. So when you go to the store and you're buying something that used to cost 50 cents, now costs $15, people don't realize the reason for that price differential is the inflation that's been carried over from our extreme debt.
Yeah.
Right? Because the more you raise the debt, the lower the dollar's value, right?
So then why wouldn't Trump be trying to lower the debt?
He is trying to lower the debt. People aren't watching that part of the triangle.
Did you see Rand Paul's at Fort Knox today?
I saw that he's at Fort Knox.
Yeah, he's about to inspect deep
He's
into
going to
the...
look at about half of our nation's gold is sitting there.
Yeah.
But that's an old storyline that Fort Knox doesn't have the gold when in fact that can't be true because the U.S. military has to audit it every year. That's the law.
Okay.
And
well,
if that audit didn't work out, do you think that would be suppressed? No.
No. And Trump announced something related to what's going on with Iran, tempering things down a bit with regards to conflict with Iran. And I think the market reacted to that in a positive way, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully, God willing, we'll start to see before the midterms gas prices like groceries and whatnot start to lower. Because I've always said this, if you want the DSA and the communists to, I can't even believe I'm still saying this, to gain any steam, then yeah, they would need things like affordability to be out of control.
Yep.
So when's the best time to kind of hit the public with a yin and a yang?
Probably about a month and a half before midterms.
About 6 weeks. Yes.
6 weeks.
Getting close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So September.
Sometime in September, we should see a shift.
And if we don't, could that be an indicator of something else? Because you've been saying for a while now that you suspect that we're going to see everything crash at some point. But
we are watching it crash. The economy is on the skids right now.
But how do you manage that so that it happens after the midterms and doesn't affect?
Because you're not going to get to a full-blown crash. In case you hadn't noticed what Scott Bessent and the Central Bank of Japan are doing together. I mean, they're weakening the euro.
That's right.
I think it's fascinating to watch that.
Yep.
They're literally using euro to buy yen.
So
which is
weakening
stabilizing
the globalists.
our dollar, stabilizing their dollar,
Yeah.
and who's paying? The euro.
Oh gosh.
The globalists.
Oh, that's great. Oh man, that's great. So let's say what's up to the fam. Good to see everybody in both Rumble and Pill chat. And you guys, I see some fam dropping some gold pill love over there in Pilled World. And God bless you guys for your continued support, everybody. This is we are a viewer supported channel. And we seriously can't thank you guys all enough. It is because of you why we're able to continue doing this moving forward and, God willing, growing to boot. Now, we're going to be, we've been having talks about sponsors so that we're not solely relying on you guys out there. So just a future heads up that in the near future, we may be halfway through the show, taking a break for sponsors. I know it's really dreaded for a lot of people out there, but it's what we got to do so that we can do this, continue doing this, this thing that we love to do, genuinely love to do. Mm-hmm. So good to see G Quick, Aqualux, and Marissa keeping everyone on ice over there on Rumble. Sadix Sherry, good to see you, friend. Lefty62. Let's see. Lefty says she's better, just a lingering cough. Hopefully, you talking about your wife? Hopefully everything's good there. Mm-hmm. P.L. Baldry, Dar family. Good to see ya. Mountain 17 Q New. There's Sober Lady. Says, hey, y'all. How's everyone doing? Riv 508, 2020 MAGA. We got everybody, all the OGs, Liberty Leeway. Welcome, Patriots. I am Taylor, Dal76. Look at these Patriots. And we got over in Pilled, Bandmont, Texas. And then we got this free for all to learn. Who's that? That's Mare Bear.
She's a troll.
That's a troll right there. Jax 212. I've not been this sick in a long time, says Jack. Oh man, Jax, prayers up. Everybody, pray for Jax over there for good health. G Quick gifted a subscription. Thank you. God bless G Quick for the Rumble Rant subscription. And starting things off, as per usual, Dixie. Thank you so much, Dixie. Good to see you. Thank you for the support. Tweety52 also with a cookie. Thank you, Tweety. Thank you. Crystal Loves David with a cookie. Says, God bless and prayers. Crystal always with a great message in her donations. Thank you to Charlie 3 or 5 with his customary 3 cookies. Then Bobby Digital with a cookie. What up, fam? Says Bobby Digital. Good to see you guys. Awaken Mom. Good to see y'all, Sean and on. I'm on vacation at the lake, says Awaken Mom. Having a great time. Wi-Fi. Yay. Shout out to Awaken Mom. I am jealous. Wish I was there with you.
Same here.
Right. Yeah, good to see everybody over there in Pilled. 12 popcorn. All right. What are we going to get into today?
So you asked me back in, I don't know, January, February. You said, you need to take all your research and put it into one set of timelines. So I've been working on it.
So what you're saying is this will be a good resource for people
that you can use to kind of understand. So if you take
what?
The first deck was politicizing the, surveillance, right? That's where I showed you all the operations that were run to hide information and to go after Trump.
Yeah.
The second deck, I showed you the foreign influence, how that fed into it. Now where I'm at is it's going to be a series because it's continuing, but I'm reconstructing. Well, let me just say, I'm having AI take my research and make the slides pretty. How's that?
You mean you're not just solely relying on AI for all your research, Feisty?
Oh, God, AI sucks for that. It really does. If you don't know your topic, you're not going to get research. Even when you tell it to scan the internet, tell it what sources to go find, I have literally populated decks and white papers and stuff that I've written since 2017. Populated it into the AI and said, use this as the source. I'm doing this. I'm reconstructing these timelines. And so it didn't even know about the FOIA release by the FBI in 2020, which shocked me.
Oh, wow.
And if I see AI, it's really funny. My apologies.
Yeah, the back and forth gets funny.
You're
with
right
AI.
to call me out on that. It's like you're an idiot.
Well, nobody's because it accrues all its data from the platform largely, right? Especially Grok.
Well, it proves to you.
So nobody's posted anything about FOIA, essentially, right?
No, what it proves to you is that when it was learning, it was suppressed. Yes. Because it doesn't have a lot of this information.
It's interesting, especially with Grok.
And it's all 3 of them are doing it that I use. I use 3. Look at me. I use 3. I use 3.
Thank you, Patriot Bronco, for the banger shade. Says, greetings, fam. Good to see you, Patriot Bronco, and thank you for the support, friend. Good to see Ann Boyer as well. Ann Boyer says, great show last night, Mayor.
Oh, thank you, Ann.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
She's another hard digger, guys.
So, homework assignments?
I'm sorry? Homework assignments?
I'm kidding, Ann Boyer. I'm kidding. Sort of. She probably likes it.
I have to tell you, I really appreciate that you introduced me to Mary because the 2 of us talk a lot about our research and how much it cross-sects.
I said it a long time ago.
Pushing it back and forth.
I told you, fun. Feisty, a long time ago, wait until you meet Mare.
Well, now we're a fixture for morning coffee.
A dynamic duo.
If we don't talk, she sends me a text message. Are you okay?
Dynamic duo. Thank you, non-binary, for a cookie.
We have a great time.
We do.
We should probably put our phone calls on live.
Yes, I said this to you the other day.
Listen to him.
What was it you 2 were talking about the other day? And I said, wait, stop. Tell me you two didn't just have a fucking conversation, excuse my French, between each other and didn't do it live. That right there is gold. People would watch that.
Time, right?
So just hit live
But you
next
see,
time
if we
instead of
just hit record, right?
Yeah, just
But it's fun. I thoroughly enjoy talking to somebody who's her research is from a slightly different angle.
yeah.
And then so when we compare our notes,
It's great.
there's some great aha moments for both of us.
Yes. Yes.
It's been fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Sean.
Yes. Well.
Thank you to both of you. I appreciate it.
All right. So Ann Boyer says, "Do it." Oh boy. Oh boy.
Charlie says AI is rubbing off on me. 4 equals 3, or is it 3 equals 4?
See, hold on. All right. This is what I've been trying to say. Listen, we got a lot of people in the chat that would embrace, because you're the professor.
I'm not the only one. I'm trying to tell you, Mary does a good job too.
Yes, she does. You're a professor, so embrace the role of giving homework assignments. Not just to me, by the way, either. Not just to me.
Well, the homework assignments, that's why I give you my decks.
A simple one.
Really question.
Yeah.
Have you gone through The Naked Communist? Because I sent you that one.
That's a good book. You should read it.
I haven't, no.
That's a really enlightening book. Actually, he did a really good job
The Cuban Report.
over a very long period of time exposing all this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been reading that Cuban Report.
That's good too.
So
That's a good summary of everything we've been watching for the last 50 years.
yeah. And well, for me, it's confirmation that the administration is fully aware of what we've been aware of without having to read that.
Yes.
We've been aware of, I should say, we've been
now that
aware
you
of it
say
without
that,
having to read it. But
go
it's
into
nice to know that the administration is aware of it.
Go into the Diggs folder, scroll up 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll see an email.
Honorable James Comey, thank you for your attention to this matter. This is the email that opened March toll on
Sessions.
your ex-boyfriend.
My no, I'm a polygamist now.
All right. So it says.
So what I'm getting at with that, and it's a great email. It's a 3-page email, but that ending, thank you for attention to this matter. You have noticed that Trump has used that ending line ever since he came back into his office. What makes people think he doesn't have a clue what's going on?
So for anyone who doesn't know, this is an email from Patrick Leahy and Al Franken to James Nobody's Homie Comey, March 20th, 2017. Says Sessions or with his staff. So this is when Sessions was Attorney General. And whether says Sessions or with his staff, and whether any laws were broken in the course of those contacts or in any subsequent discussions of whether they occurred. We also request that you something us on the results of that investigation. What was this regarding?
This is so there was the question back in 2017 about Jeff Sessions' contact with the Russians. And they
his recusal. So his recusal.
They blew it up. They wrote a letter to Comey to open up this investigation, and Sessions ended up recusing himself. Now, you've heard Trump over the years complain about Sessions doing that. What most people missed is the weekend before he recused himself, he spent the entire weekend at Mar-a-Lago with Trump. So that was planned. And what I'm getting at here is Trump is taking you back to the beginning of the weaponization.
Oh, with that whole thing, with the whole thank you for your attention to this matter. That whole thing, right?
This is March of 2017. This is only 3 months in, 2.5 months into his term. He's taking you back to the fact that they weaponized the government against a sitting president and his cabinet.
Yep.
So when you're reviewing these emails regarding this whole crossfire, all these crossfire operations, you're signaling that this thank you for your attention to this matter is
a sign.
Is a sign or a signal from Trump every time. What did
he say when he came back in? It's my turn.
Okay.
And what do we have right now? We've got an IC that is literally in panic mode, especially with the Iraq indictment that came out on Saturday the 1st. They're in panic mode right now. They have no idea where the arrows are going to come from.
So wait, why would the FBI be opening a probe into Attorney General Jeff Sessions after Democrats' request, even after he updated his testimony, which is just a news article?
Okay, so if you dig into that, and you got to go back to then, the Democrats, Leahy and Franken at the time were the two ringleaders, but the Democrats were claiming that Jeff Sessions not only lied to Congress during his confirmation hearings, but that he flipped his answers. And they of course, used the media spin to make it look like he had something to hide.
Okay.
Okay? Sessions didn't really do what was being projected to the public. But Sessions also knew there was more going on. That's why I'm saying the weekend before he recused himself, he spent the entire weekend with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. So it was a planned thing for him to recuse himself. He didn't step down as AG, but he recused himself of anything
So
Russia.
the fact that they spent the weekend prior at Mar-a-Lago is an indicator that Trump and Sessions coordinated this, and Trump wasn't just taken by surprise of just Sessions recusing himself. And
There's
let's not forget,
way.
too, Trump likes to surround himself, it seems like, and maybe you can correct me on this, it seems like he likes to surround himself with people who aren't bought and paid off. Ergo, Jeff Sessions, ergo, Lindsey Graham.
So you know who Peter Schweitzer is, right?
Yes.
The guy, he wrote a book called Throw Them All Out.
Okay.
Okay. It came out in like 2010-ish.
Okay.
I've got the book. It's fabulous. He tested every member of Congress. This is before the Tea Party wave. But he tested the only person that was 100% squeaky clean
Jeff
was Jeff Sessions.
Yeah. Well, Lindsey Graham too hasn't taken much money from what
Not, but he wasn't squeaky clean.
Wasn't squeaky clean.
Only person that was squeaky clean was Sessions.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said here. One of the big goals they had when the new Trump administration came in, they were trying to prevent Sessions. They had to get rid of Flynn, which I go into today.
Yeah.
But and I can't possibly put everything on a timeline. There's just so much. I'm hoping what I did today was give you kind of a feel for the extensive activity that was taking place. Now, I'm only going through December 2016. 2017 is off the rails. 2018, oh my God, the sky was falling. And then by the time the Mueller report came out, where there was nothing to charge Trump with, then they go into panic, and suddenly you've got Epstein.
They create other things too, like
suddenly there
like
was
the
Epstein
perfect phone
right
call
after that.
with Zelensky and whatnot.
And which is interesting because that the Zelensky Ukraine story matters back in 2016.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Not Zelensky so much because he was, but the Ukraine story is very much seated in the earlier evidence.
So today's dig will revolve around. We're going to do the timeline.
I'm bringing you forward from Stellar Wind, the presidential surveillance program, bringing you through the IGs who said, hey, there's a problem here back in 2009-10.
Okay.
Into the Crossfire Hurricane and why that happened, going all the way from the mid-year exam on Hillary's emails, all the way to Flynn's conversation on January 4th
with Andrew McCabe
of 2017. No, that's not until January 24th. That's in next week's deck.
Okay.
But I couldn't, because of the Kislyak piece, I had to do January 4th, so it crosses in.
So time period starting when again? Sorry?
2009. It's a 17-year arc. 2009 to 2017.
So immediately post the housing market crash.
Right.
And then till when, you said? I'm sorry?
Till December of 2017.
Okay.
16.
Okay. Well, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Like I said, it's a 17-year arc.
Oh, that's interesting. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I had fun.
I see what you
It
did
was
there.
like, oh, isn't that cool?
I see what you did there.
I got through that. So what I did, just so you know, everybody, I took probably 3,000 slides over the years dedicated to this part of this, uploaded them all to AI. I've written a number of kind of white papers about all of this. I uploaded them all to AI. I took only primary source information. I was using IG reports, Senate reports, court reports.
Official
There's
documents.
a lot of court reporter, all official primary documents.
Yeah.
Populated all in AI.
Yeah.
And I sat.
Much like Catherine Harrods does, everybody.
Yeah. And I sat to reconstructing, as Sean asked for, a complete timeline of what's going on.
Nice.
So where I had partial timelines in the past, now I tried to put it all together.
Oh, okay.
So I hope you're going to enjoy this. Let me share my screen. I don't have any video.
Let me see if I can tee this off on YouTube now.
But what you have is the issue of surveillance, and I showed you that with the last two digs, from domestic and foreign surveillance abuses. So you've already got kind of a background on that. If you don't remember that or you didn't watch those videos, I would encourage you to go watch them, because in both of those I take you to the core of how they were so emboldened that they were able to go as far as to steal an election. Okay, so it's important to kind of note where we're at. But what we're here doing is literally laying out what Trump calls the witch hunt. Remember, I said to you, how did Crossfire Hurricane start? It was political gossip that was weaponized. Remember, the witch hunt. If you go back to the Salem witch trials, it's political gossip that had people burned at the stake. So it comes down to the same thing. And it's all, like I said, primary documentation. So you saw this slide. I showed it to you last time. This is the domestic surveillance. This is post 1828 that shows you the domestic surveillance org chart, if you will. And you can see up in the upper left that it goes to the UK, right? So you already know that there's a foreign nexus. And I spent time enhancing this slide for my foreign influence deck to show you how you take political gossip here, you feed it to two sources. Dolan fed it to Danchenko, who's connected to Chris Steele, and Blumenthal and Shearer fed it to Halper, who just happens to be paid by the Office of Net Assessments in the Pentagon. Office of Net Assessments, by the way. Thank you, Pete Hegseth. You about upended that. But that was pretty much the piggy bank for dark projects. And they funded Halper about $1 million for his research, okay? Halper gets with Downer. They entrap Papadopoulos. Papadopoulos said, yeah, I heard Russia was collecting dirt on Hillary. They take that back, feed it through Sir Andrew Wood, through the Five Eye Network, bring it back through, and then take it back to the U.S. as a predicate for a sensitive security matter, okay? Just to make sure it would stick, though, McCain sends his chief of staff, David Kramer, to London to get a hard copy from Steele, the Steele dossier, brings it back, hands it to Comey. Because before it actually started to blow up, the IC thought it was all BS. They didn't agree with it. So we have to reinfuse it. And then what did they do with it? They turned around and put it into the media to give it the wrap-up smear effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the public that actually created the impetus that they needed to move forward.
Okay.
Okay? So that's a summary of what we were talking about. So let's talk about the structure, okay? I've shown you about SellerWin. It was a presidential surveillance program, was brought online after 9/11 for tracking terrorist communications. It was kept very closely held to the vest until about 2009. You have 5 IGs that are reviewing that database, and they're saying, hey, there's some problems brewing here. These IGs aren't just anybody. You've got Glenn Fine, who's the Inspector General with the DOJ.
Right.
You've got George Ellard, who was the Inspector General for the NSA. At the time, it was not a confirmed position. It was just an appointed position. You got John Helgerson, who was the Inspector General for the CIA. That's the third guy. And you got Gordon Heddle, who was the Inspector General for DOD. And finally, you got Thomas Gimbel, who was the acting Inspector General for DNI. DNI at the time was very new. It had only been formed in 2004 and 5 as a result of the 9/11 Commission report. So he was new in that role. These 5 IGs reviewed the presidential surveillance program and said there's some issues. It was a 4-year series of reviews.
Okay.
They noticed it started to go sideways they noticed the potential for it to go sideways in 2009. By 2010 and 11, they said it's going sideways now. And what they were noting was that the database was being improperly used by people who shouldn't have access. At that same time, by 2011, you start to see them implement the 702 construct that we are using today. And by 2013-14, you've got a 702 ecosystem that's fully in use. At the same time, look at the date, you've got an executive order saying, hey, let's get our cyber shit together, right? Because out of the clear blue in 2011, we've got this idiot Dmitry Alperovich saying, hey, the Chinese are in our databases, and he coins it Shady Rat. Rat is a remote access Trojan. Remember that when we get to 2019 election
What's
stuff,
a remote access Trojan? What?
literally it's a virus that it gains access to your servers remotely.
Oh.
So
who imposed that?
Dmitry Alperovich said that it was the Chinese that were using this rat to get into the database. This is in 2011, right around the time they're saying, hey, there's something screwy going on here, and we're starting to build 702.
Okay.
And then
You want to tell them what I thought Shady Rat meant?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like I thought they were a throwback to the Chinese New Year, like Year of the Rat or the horse.
He was close.
They were framing China, so when they did Shady Rat, I'm like, okay.
No, this is technical term. But what's interesting is in 2013 and 14, right around the time the 702 ecosystem matures, OPM had this massive intrusion where anybody who ever had a clearance with the federal government, my husband and I got caught up in this. We were pissed. They got all of our SF-86s got stolen. We were absolutely pissed. If for anybody that doesn't have a clearance, an SF-86 pretty much lays it all bare, right down to your underwear size. I won't tell you what I said to Mary, but it's everything about your life, and it's cumulative, right? Because you have to go through updates depending on the level of clearance. You have to go through updates every 5 or 10 years, so it's cumulative. And they all got stolen, just kind of coinky dink like that.
That'd be really great if they wanted to blackmail people or find their weaknesses.
Find weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Find weaknesses. In 2014, Obama signs an executive order saying we need to get our cyber shit together. Opens the door. And OPM did not tell anybody about the breach until 2015. This is all following. Notice the timelines converging here. The ICIG review began in June of 2015. Isn't that interesting that we now can disclose an OPM breach the same time? And then finally, in July of 2016, we have the Hillary Clinton email scandal reaches the Washington field office, and they opened up, it's not just any mid-year investigation. It's a counterintelligence espionage investigation. So one of the things I was saying to Mary yesterday about that, please understand when you got an 811 referral, it must have the president's authorization.
So Obama had to sign off on it.
He had to sign off on that.
It's interesting because who was it who just put out a interview with Jan Jekielek on Epic Times was Kash Patel. And you said this was a China espionage tactics, essentially, right?
The shady rat. That's what Dmitry Alperovich had said.
It's interesting.
But I'm hanging on him because he's actually pivotal. If you recall, we played that on Thursday night. We played the Geneva.
That's right. Yes.
And who did he say was inside the 702? CrowdStrike.
CrowdStrike.
That's Dmitry Alperovich.
Oh.
He's the CEO of CrowdStrike. Well, now it's Sean Henry. He's not there, but.
So could he have. Wow.
In other words, there's no shady rat. We were stealing. He has access to the database. Notice when it's maturing, right? We're setting up. He's a part of it. Who at this
That's
time...
Russian. That's Russian.
No, Dmitry Alperovich, it's American.
With a name like Dmitry Alperovich?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But
All
remember
right.
what happens here in 2012.
Sure.
Sean Henry, who set up the cyber division at the FBI, joins CrowdStrike. Where is he? Area 1. Where is that? Ukraine.
Okay.
The story gets deeper and bigger. Who are these people? They're the same ones that claim the Russians got into the DNC server. But I'm just looking at the timing. We're setting up a 702 infrastructure. His skill set from at this time with Shady Rat, he was at McAfee at the time. He actually commercialized his big white paper on Shady Rat and started his own company. Sean Henry joins him within the year. Okay? Sean Henry, the guy who set up the cyber division. Take this to Obama saying we need to get our cyber shit together in 2014. I'm just laying out the fact that I've got questions, okay? This timeline doesn't look clean for the people in the red line. So nevertheless, we end up with a counterintelligence or counterespionage investigation on Hillary Clinton's emails by July 6th of 2015. And they open the mid-year just 4 days later. And the reason why, because the referral came in from the IG, has to go through Obama to be able to launch it because of the type of referral it is. That when you're talking counter-espionage, you're talking foreign influence that brings in our diplomatic stuff. So the president has to sign off on it. And I'm hanging on this because remember what was Crossfire about? Russian collusion. So in other words, it too was an 8/11, which meant Obama had to sign off on the start of that. Is that making sense?
Yep.
Okay. Here's an interesting timeline comparison. In 2011, right as we're doing this with the 702 and we got Shady Rat, Trump is saying, I might run for president. This is early 2011, about March timeframe.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. 2013, look at the timeline. Keep the timelines together, right? 2013, he takes Miss Universe to Russia. He's in Moscow.
Okay.
Okay. Russia collusion build up here.
Oh, so they're monitoring him. They're surveilling him the entire time.
They don't trust what's going on here. Remember, they also had Flynn. In 2014, you've got the Crimea and Ukraine crises both springing up at the same time.
So they're aware
remember?
that Trump may at some point intervene in their whole 16-year plan to destroy America at this time, you think?
I don't know that they know that Trump is going to intervene, but when he said he was considering a run for the presidency,
it was enough
it created a buzz.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So they started watching. In
Oppo research time.
Yes.
And you see a lot of opposition research beginning right in that time frame.
Okay.
So there's a political realignment with Hillary Clinton. Her email server had become the center of focus, right? That's the mid-year exam. And they're going, well, we need to flip this. Which Trump's previous Russia stuff suddenly becomes a key point. Now notice that's in between March and May of 2015. Trump then says, hey, I'm going to run for president. He comes down the infamous escalator, June 16th, 2015. So you can see a convergence along the same timeline.
Okay.
Are you noticing?
Yep.
Okay. The reason why I'm spending time on this is if you understand the framework, the basis, the rest starts to make even more sense. This is going into the next phase. We've opened up mid-year exam, and the guy who opens it, his name is Charles Campbell. He goes by the nickname Sandy.
Okay.
This is all in a FOIA, by the way.
Yep.
He starts papering DC with information, document requirements, right?
Okay.
And everything is going smoothly. You can go through the FOIA. You can see they're getting the letter. They're submitting the documents. And you see it until about September 15th.
Okay.
All of a sudden, shit hits the fan. Everything blows up. Peter Strzok comes in September 2015. Charles Campbell Cable ended up being reassigned in December. They got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to keep the mid-year open. They're trying to close it. Okay, so when they're investigating the email issue, remember that started with an IG report to Cable in June of early July of 2015. Started with an IG report saying they had noticed 300,000 emails, all but 2 went through this company called Carter Heavy Industries at gmail.com. Who is Carter Heavy Industries? Well, it's a Chinese heavy equipment company in Alexandria, Virginia. That's what made it counter intel. So they expanded the investigation to include this counter intel stuff, which Cable was running. And then by the September-ish, the month of September, we're looking to identify any of the sources of the blind, what they call the blind copy rule, and State Department system vulnerabilities that created the flow. And then all of a sudden, that's when Strzok comes in, because now they're getting into it, right?
Right.
So they come in, they've got to shut down the mid-year, and they've got to repurpose it, right? The realignment, so that they can shift that focus to Trump.
Yep.
And then you got the correspondence where Cable sends his referral to Greg Starr. He's the
Any relation?
No.
Okay, not to Kenneth Starr, no relation.
No
Okay.
relation. So he sends it to the diplomatic security at the State Department, and that's when things step backwards. Okay.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Cable's reassigned. This is in October. He's continuing his mid-year. He gets reassigned in
Right
December.
in the middle of right in the middle of it?
Yeah, but do you see what's underneath him? Do you see that picture? Do you see what that is?
No. What are you pointing at? Where's your
Let me
cursor?
see if I. Wait a minute.
And no, filtered Operation Oxford, comma didn't start until 2017.
Yeah, that was later.
Yeah,
Okay, what do you
she will
see?
get into that, I'm sure.
I will get into that.
Oh, okay.
yes.
It's a pawn.
What do you think he's calling himself?
A pawn.
He's calling himself a pawn.
Oh, so he realized it.
He realized he was thrown to the wind.
Oh, and that was his cover photo. Holy cow!
That's his cover photo on LinkedIn, still to this day.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Is he playing any role in government today?
No, he's completely retired from government.
Wow. Okay.
He's completely retired. At this point, once he's reassigned, headquarters, FBI, DOJ personnel take full control of everything coming out of the Washington field office. And of course, you've got your favorites, right? You got Strzok, Maffa, and Priestap are the three kingmakers, if you will, for what became Crossfire Hurricane.
Okay. And there was multiple cross operations.
Well, there's multiple sub investigations, and I'm getting into a couple of them. You got Tycoon, which is Papadopoulos. You've got Razor, which is Flynn. You know, there's several of them. So Strzok then resends the correspondence to the Department of State in January of 2016. It's the identical correspondence that he had sent to Greg Starr. The Cable sent to Greg Starr. He resends it and says, okay, I'm taking over now. I know you were working with Sandy Cable. Send that information to me. Then there's a follow-up. The IG Frank Rucker, he's now questioning what's going on with the mid-year. And he questions, this is a really weird story. He questions, can we have a meeting? Because we want to talk about this. So they schedule a meeting in February, and February 18th, 2016, you've got Rucker and Jeanette McMillan who go to meet with Strzok, Chappell, and other FBI personnel specifically over the Carter Heavy Industries email.
Okay.
What's going on with this? It's the basis for the counterintelligence or counterespionage investigation. They tell them, this is where you throw, let me blow this up. My husband did this for me, but it's easier doing this. He's from Platte River. You remember Platte River? They're the ones that set up the server in the Chappaqua residence.
No. Possibly setting it up so that the sale of state secrets, possibly?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. No, I did not know that. Can you summarize? I don't want to lose people when they hear the term mid-year exam.
Mid-year exam was the investigation into the Hillary Clinton emails that in bulk, 300,000 of them went from her State Department devices to or through CarterHeavyIndustries.gmail.
Okay. So that's that everybody.
That's the mid-year exam is the investigation into what happened.
All right. So for anyone wondering, I hope that helped, guys. And that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's when Comey, nobody's homie Comey, announced that no reasonable prosecutor would even prosecute this.
We'll prosecute this.
Right. Which an FBI, it doesn't even matter.
Have the authority to do.
Not even a director of the FBI has the authority to do that.
No, that's DOJ.
Right.
Which is why the Democrats were so pissed when he did that.
Because you think the Democrats knew that he did it to shelve it for maybe later on?
They felt he did it, at least publicly it was said, they felt he did it to blemish Hillary Clinton during the election.
Her campaign,
and then, of course, he doubled down on October 28th and said, we just found all these emails on the Wiener laptop. We got to reopen it. October 28th. The election was November 4th. And he goes over the weekend. He comes out Monday. We didn't find anything, closing it again. But the damage was done. So a lot of Democrats
he did it for another reason. You can't convince me he was doing that to hurt her campaign. There had to have been another reason there.
There's a jury out on that one.
Yeah, there had to have been another reason.
Just going to point out.
The word crossfire, I can't escape that word.
Well, you know what it is. You're taking it from mid-year and to make sure Hillary can get over the finish line, you're cross-firing and putting all that onto Trump. You're making him the Russian asset. Instead of Hillary being a Chinese asset.
Sure, but it still seems like this sting operation in reverse fashion.
I think you might come to the same conclusion I have.
Okay.
And pardon me, but we've got this horrendous thunderstorm over us in my house.
Ooh, fun.
So, just so you know.
Okay.
So anyway, what they tell these two individuals when they're questioning, hey, what's going on with this investigation? They're saying, Gambetta, it was his migration anomaly. That's all that is. And they ended the investigation by blaming it on Platte River. They're saying, wait a minute, what is this metadata coming from Carter Heavy? They're saying they attributed it to Combetta's email migration activity. And nobody asked any questions. The FBI says, okay, no further investigation. They closed it up. Which doesn't even, they blame it on this guy. So the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because you now are in a situation where we have put together the infrastructure that is now all Trump. Okay. So I've been very carefully trying to put in the pictures for each of these states, each of these dates on the timeline. So you can see who was the lead in that part of it. So you've got the preservation link to Steve Linick. Do you remember who Steve Linick is?
I don't.
Steve Linick was the State Department IG.
Okay.
Remember what Pompeo did with him in 2020?
Nope, I don't even know his name.
He fired him.
So
in May of 2020.
He allowed for things to go on then.
Well,
By the way, I'm surprised you were able to find a picture of Pienka.
That was not easy, and I have to thank what's his name? Brass Balls. He goes by the nickname Brass Balls. He found it, and I was able to find it.
Yeah, that's somebody that Igor, everybody calls him Igor now, has gone hard at. Pienka. Yeah,
but I have a different take on him.
I know you do.
Anyway, so Steve Linick is the ICIG when Charles Cable sent him the first preservation letter, then struck in January.
Which documents were they preserving again? I'm sorry?
Anything to do with the Hillary Clinton emails investigation.
Oh, really?
Mid-year.
Oh, okay.
So everybody around D.C. was preserving documents. It gets to Linick, and all of a sudden Strzok comes in and takes over the investigation. It is believed he leaked that information. Linick leaked the information about the preservation. And it wasn't until May of 2020 that he got fired. And Trump came out and said, I told him they should have fired him from the beginning. So there was an investigation that was done. Still don't know what happened with him. Anyway, that's an important part of the timeline because now you've got, again, an outreach to Greg Starr.
Yep.
And that correspondence is resent because they're trying to manage the interagency inquiries that are coming in over the Clinton issues.
Okay.
So he now reaches out to Ken Starr, and then we bury the metadata issue. Remember, he says to them, it's Combetta, it was a migration issue, and they say that it's an email anomaly. This is all happening January and February. So what you're seeing is them close down the mid-year exam, right?
Yep.
And then in March, they give Pagliano, who's a staffer at that was setting up the Chappaqua server, they give him immunity.
Really?
So this closes down everything to do with the mid-year. And it wasn't until March 9th that you've got a red flag with the 702.
But you can include that later on a grand conspiracy case, maybe? He has immunity? Who did he get immunity from? And why?
From the FBI, so that he would, quote, cooperate.
Come on, man. Cooperate. Yeah. We haven't heard the end of this.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay. Wow.
Because what you're seeing here, this whole containment wall, this is where they're literally putting the wall around the mid-year. They're literally closing it off from any further information. Notice the dates. It was right after this that you get the DNC hack. It's right after this that Mike Rogers finds uncleared contractors in the 702. You've got all of this happening right beforehand. So they're literally walling off the mid-year.
Yeah.
They give him immunity to cooperate, and we get a 702 red flag just a few days later. This is where we find out that the FBI was disclosing raw, unmined FISA signals intelligence. Right?
Yep.
And they were giving it to outside entities. So and it takes them way beyond what was necessary to do any investigation. So what you're seeing is a dragnet. And this is Mike Rogers is the one who starts to reveal this. So that takes us from March to July, which is an interesting time frame, because now you've seen where the mid-year spun up. It was a counter-espionage investigation, a very serious investigation requiring presidential approval. It starts to go into full bore. Strzok and his team shut it down. Now we've got to crossfire it, right?
Yep.
That's what we're watching. So in March of 2016, they're going through the FISA renewal process. And this requires an audit and kind of a standing as to what the database is doing. It was right after that you got the DNC intrusion. So you've got, they're preparing their applications in March, and you get the DNC intrusion in April. This is where Dmitry Alperovich comes back again. You notice his marker.
Yes.
He comes back and he's inside the DNC server and he says, hey, this is Cozy Bear. This is a Russian virus.
Okay.
Okay. By Russian actors. I've actually talked to white hat hackers. They laugh every time they hear this story. They call it the most lame story ever. Why? Because the only way you could know that a bad actor is in your server is if you're standing over their shoulder when they're doing it. I've been told that many times by several white hat hackers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a BS story. And you come through because later on, you got Sean Henry is doing a deposition with the House. And he talks about packets being prepared. So there was an actual desire here to hack that database.
Okay.
So CrowdStrike, this is where it gets really weird. By this time, Sean Henry is working with CrowdStrike since 2012. He's the actual president of CrowdStrike. Sean Henry and that's Sean Henry's picture. Let me pull that up. So you see that's Sean Henry.
Yep.
He's the actual president. So Dmitry Alperovich is at the DNC. He's going through the database. He's saying it's Cozy Bear, which is a Russian virus. And the FBI says, well, we need access to the database. He says, hey, we got your buddy Sean is a part of our team. FBI goes, oh, he's the guy that set up the cybersecurity division at FBI.
My gosh.
Okay, he's a known entity. We trust him. You go ahead. You do the investigation. Get back with us. Where is this work taking place? Ukraine.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they call it Cozy Bear. Later, they also add on Fancy Bear, which I showed you. I don't know, did I show you the slides? But the guy, Shotai Boltai, is the hacker out of Russia who goes by Humpty Dumpty.
Okay.
And Cozy Bear, Fancy Bear, these are all nicknames within his company.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In October of 2016, he's actually arrested by the Russians for treason, along with two FSB officials. The two FSB officials went to prison for treason, one for 14 years, one for 20 years. And the guy that runs Shotai Boltai, he was released after, I think, 2 years in jail and forced to shut down his company. So there's a different story here. That started in October 2016 when we're starting to say Cozy Bear, we call it Fancy Bear, both Russian, and they're trying to tell you now that the Russians are intentionally hacking the DNC. At the same time, the Russians are treating those that are doing the hacking as treasonous SOBs.
To obfuscate from the Seth Rich.
Right. Which takes you back to Julian Assange saying it wasn't sent to him electronically. It was given to him by a young man. Remember?
Yes, and I wanted to address Beth D551. Yeah, Peter Strzok was, I don't know if it was $1 million. I know Lisa Page got like something like 750,000, I think. Mm-hmm. But they both got paid from the weaponization fund.
Right.
I feel like they got 2 million total, I think.
Oh, it might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been. But yes.
Carter Page also just got paid out of that fund in 1.25 million.
He deserved it.
He
He probably
deserved
deserved more.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I think
would
they were asking
Well,
for.
my question about the 1.25 million means he knew he was a sting.
This is your kitty, Sean. This is Chappie. He never comes
Chaplain.
up and visits.
Are you
like us.
scratching that cat's head, Sean?
Yes, Chaplin. He looks like Chaplin too.
He looks like Batman.
So what I'm pointing out here is all of this converges in on July 31st, when they open up Crossfire Hurricane officially. Okay. So you've got Carter Page is interviewed. Let me pull that up. Carter Page was first interviewed in April. What's interesting about Carter Page is he had already come under question back in like 2009. Remember when Stellar Wind crossed over, right? He was interviewed, and it was a known fact throughout the IC that he was a CIA asset. So the FBI knew this, okay? And I'll get there because we haven't gotten to August yet. But he's first interviewed by the FBI in April. Mike Rogers briefs is briefed on the DNC intrusion in April, right? And then by May, Comey is breached about the DNC intrusion. Explain to me.
What do you mean breached? He's briefed, you mean? Okay.
Briefed. So Rogers is briefed first. Comey's briefed second. Look at the difference in dates. After Carter Page is interviewed. I find these timelines interesting.
It's like a 2-week difference.
I'm sorry?
It's like a 2-week span.
Well, yeah, we go from April 1st to the DNC breach. Here's your Russia target. We need a Russia target, right?
Oh.
We're crossfiring. You need a Russia target. Now we need to show the urgency. We brief Rogers at DNI about a 702 breach of the database and the DNC server. Then we brief Comey after that. So are you following the thought process? We got a Russian target. Now we got to point to the Russians breaching the DNC. You see it?
Yes.
Make it a high intelligence issue because now we're bringing in Mike Rogers in the 702.
Okay.
Then we brief Comey about it. Why are you briefing Comey after the fact?
And they're using Rogers too, because Rogers went to Trump or the Trump campaign.
That's not till November.
Okay, which is
okay. So Comey
4 or
says
5
in
months
June
away
that they're investigating the DNC intrusion to see if it's related to a Russian government collusion.
They knew it wasn't. Come on.
They knew it wasn't, but look when Comey's briefed versus when Rogers is briefed. It's right here. The DNC intrusion is briefed in April and Comey not till May. These dates are actual. I'm not making them up. You got to ask that question because here you have your Russian foreign contact, right? Then you have...
Meaning Carter Page.
Carter Page. Then you have the Russians are inside our own databases at the DNC.
But were they looking for... Hold on. When Carter Page... Is that April 1st? Is that what it says? April 1st,
this
2016.
Is April 1st. Remember what they just did through March. What did they do in March? They're shutting down, walling off the whole mid-year. Remember?
Right. They shelved it.
Now we're spinning up Crossfire. Do you get it?
Why do I feel like... Yeah, but when did Crossfire really begin? Because why do I feel like they backtracked first?
Look at the date. They did.
Like they weren't like April 1st, 2016 with Carter Page interviewed.
That's when you really
I guess okay.
You're building a Crossfire predicate.
So it arguably began before. Okay. All right.
Yeah, the whole idea for Crossfire was conjured up in like December 2015.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they spent January, February, and March.
Because Trump had won the election. No, at that time.
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
He's still this campaign time.
So they were starting to acquire Oppo research at this point.
Right.
In the unlikely case that they were thinking that Trump were to win the election.
The Democrats weren't. The Republicans were. They were using They were using Christie's Orbis. They were using Christie's services to develop Oppo research against Trump. That's Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, all of them
There's
got
the
together.
Crossfire.
No, but they found nothing. It was then that the Democrats picked it up and they took it
And
the
then,
next
so
step.
there's collusion. Okay, good to know.
Yes. Okay, so here
Wow.
what we're doing, we're shutting down the mid-year. Now we've got to spin up Crossfire. So you interview your target. You tell Rogers, hey, there's a foreign interference in the 702. You then tell Comey later. That's where they really screwed up. Why would you tell your boss after you've talked to Rogers? Do you see my question?
Because you've yes. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but yes, I understand.
So then Comey comes out in June and saying they're now investigating the DNC intrusion as to whether or not it's related to the Russians.
Right.
That's June of 2016.
Yep.
I haven't even gotten into Trump Tower yet, by the way.
Right. That doesn't happen for another couple months.
No, this happens that same month.
I thought you
The
said
Trump
that
Tower meeting.
November.
Trump Tower meeting is in June. No, Rogers. The Trump Tower meeting, that's where Trump Jr. and a few people met with the Russians. Okay, that's the Trump Tower meeting. They tried to then pull that over into a predicate.
Okay, yep.
And that's where Sussman comes into the story.
Yeah, that was a setup. They were trying to set them up.
So
with
right after
honeypot.
he says that we're looking into the Russians, he comes out on July 5th and says, hey, no reasonable person is going to prosecute this case, so we're closing it. And now officially the mid-year exam is closed. July 5th, 2016.
Yeah, that's when it was announced. It was officially closed before that.
Well, he goes on TV on July 6th, but it was officially closed. So now you've completely crossfired, right? You've closed down one, spun up the other. And we go through a series of political pressure releases from the media regarding Russia and the election. Why? Because Alperovich is saying Shady Rat is what? Not Shady Rat. Cozy Bear.
Cozy Bear
is in the DNC servers. So you've got Cozy Bear, and then later it's Fancy Bear in the DNC servers. So now
are these Grateful Dead references?
It's actually mostly he uses cartoons.
Oh, okay.
Alice in Wonderland, Humpty Dumpty.
Okay.
So now you've got, when you go through this whole timeline, what you've got is the political pressure, the media, the wrap-up smear that creates the need to open up Crossfire Hurricane July 31st. You got the start, right? You see it?
Official. The
official Crossfire Hurricane.
Yep.
Everything is set up. We've gotten rid of the mid-year. We've pushed out and thank you media. Did we pay you well? You've created this public pressure to investigate Trump. And nowhere in here do you see Trump in as part of this story, other than this poor hapless guy named Carter Page.
Mm-hmm.
Who just settled.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the 1.25 million just seems so lame compared to the fact that he had 4 FISAs against him.
I mean, I'll take
it feels like he got paid for using his name more than anything.
Yeah.
So now we're into the Cozy Bear attribution issue. And I want to really focus on this because this is where my heartburn comes in with CrowdStrike. You've got a DNC intrusion that every white hat hacker tells you there's no way you could have seen foreign intrusion in the database at the time he's looking at it. And he's literally sitting in the DNC offices going, yeah, they're in here right now. And then he tells the DNC staffers, don't use the database. We don't want to tip them off that you may know about them.
Right.
So he then walls off the database. I mean, what a stupid thing. Wouldn't no activity through a database tip off somebody?
Yes.
Right?
So
that first
who would it tip
comment,
off?
if you've got an actual threat, a bad actor intruding into your database and suddenly there's no activity in that database, wouldn't that be a tip off? But Alperovich says to him, don't use it. We don't want to tip them off. It's like, what the hell? Was he mocking them? These people that stupid? It goes further. You go to later, you find out that they called through the help desk to get them to download and put in what essentially became a backdoor monitoring device. The help desk. He had to look it up online himself. So there, I mean, that's in one of the depositions. It gets
Good
really
grief.
bad. So the DNC staff, they detected it. He's calling it Cozy Bear and Fancy Bear. When he the DNC wants to they want to do the investigation. Alperovich literally takes over. In fact, there's email chains that show that people within the DNC were really angry with Alperovich because he kind of took over everything.
Okay.
And who does he get as outside counsel? Perkins Coie.
Who in particular from Perkins Coie?
I can't answer. I don't have that handy. I don't remember the exact name.
Okay, who was it that got him again? Got Perkins Coie again?
CrowdStrike.
Okay.
He engages outside counsel, recommends CrowdStrike. DNC gets, no, I'm sorry. I got it backwards. The DNC engages Sussman, who then recommends CrowdStrike to look into this. Sean Henry comes in. He's the guy that set up the whole cyber intrusion division within the FBI. He comes in and he then requests direct access to the server. And then FBI said, well, we need that access. He says, no, you don't need it. I'm here.
Okay. What year was this?
This is in 2016, April 2016.
Okay.
Okay. So now you've got the attribution is now officially Cozy Bear and
Michael
Fancy Bear.
Sussman.
Yes. Sussman, if you recall, was indicted by Durham.
He was
That's
the
the
one who represented
That's the Alpha Bank
CrowdStrike.
story. Mm-hmm.
He represented CrowdStrike from Perkins Coie.
Yes. Right
Wasn't
here.
he indicted at one point too?
That's what I'm telling you. Yes, Sussman's brought in, working with CrowdStrike. Durham eventually indicted Sussman on the Alpha Bank story.
Right, and everyone was pissed because this felt weak.
It was always, they knew it. If you read the indictment,
Yeah.
even the people involved with Sussman in writing the white paper said this is bullshit.
Jeez.
By the way,
he was threatened.
By the
He
way,
was intimidated.
real quick, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you real quick to Truthful Mama, non-binary. Thank you for the cookie.
Binary?
Yeah, binary. Truthful Mama with a cookie. Gracie Thomas with a cookie. General Buford with 2-3 cookies. And P-Quest also with a cookie. You guys are amazing and very generous. Thank you. God bless you all. Much appreciated.
So anyway, now we've got an attribution. Thank you, Sean Henry. And then we get into the official narrative. You bring in the IC, FBI, CIA, NSA, ODNI, and they're all using the framework that CrowdStrike carefully built to say that the Russians have hacked the DNC. So are you ready to say this is always crafted, never real? Right?
Yep.
This is from June. Then we get this part. This is where you really got to go, whoa. Why then are we saying that these two viruses are responsible for hacking Burisma? That's Sean Henry's Area 1.
Oh.
They discover a phishing campaign targeting Burisma and subsidiaries.
Oh.
What is the story about Burisma? You know the story about Burisma, right?
Yes. It's been a while, but yep.
Yeah. And who do we have there at Burisma besides Hunter Biden? Devin Archer, Coy for Black?
Yes, Devin Archer. He's sung like
What
a
else is
canary.
going on at Burisma? We've got a $1 billion loan guarantee that disappears out of Privat Bank. Remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is found by Lithuania and reported as a suspicious activity report. So now suddenly you've got Area 1 involved with this? Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
There's more to that story, right? And they're saying it's what? Cozy Bear and Fancy Bear. That's creating the phishing scam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you got an attribution framework with no independent verification at all.
No, it's all each one scratching its own
That's
back.
why that note is sitting on that box. Here's a second bite of that apple. So actually, it's a third if you go all the way back to the original Shady Rat, right?
Jack
Shady
Jack-
Rat, no independent verification. In fact, Alpovich is famous for using a bimbo at the Washington Post to writing favorable reports about his great work in finding all of this stuff.
You know, it's always funny to me. They're not known for hiring pretty people. So
Yeah.
I just have to wonder how hard up they were.
So I want to point out something. In 2019, after the Mueller report came out and some questions are starting to raise, and notably after Trump has the phone call, that's why I put this in here, has the phone call with Zelensky, and they're talking about a Ukraine server. Okay.
Yep.
That's obviously CrowdStrike.
Yes.
Warbug Pincus,
Mm-hmm.
this guy, Michael Martin, he's the managing director for them.
Mm-hmm.
His apartment building in Manhattan suddenly goes up in flames.
Yeah. That one I
Four-
didn't know about. We were
4
talking-
months after this phone call,
Yeah.
suddenly goes up in flames.
Yeah. It's convenient.
Yeah. So somebody's trying to, and all of the partners at Warburg, excuse me, they
Mhm.
start dumping stock. And they're the major funder, major shareholder of CrowdStrike. So there's obviously something going on here. I've got the video and the pictures of that apartment building going up, and it's his apartment building that completely, it's like a 5 alarm fire on New Year's Eve 2019.
Good times.
And it's the same time that suddenly Burisma's finding Cozy Bear in the Burisma servers. Don't tell me they're not connected. But so I realize this is later than the timeline we're in. I'm just trying to show you we have an entity that continues to, wait a minute. Where did I go? I lost it. There it is. We have an entity that continues to attribute to foreign actors things that we're doing domestically.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean, you always do that. Like you always blame, even if you deal with little children and they break a toy, who do they blame it on? Somebody else.
Right. It's
Dog,
always somebody else's fault.
sibling, it's always somebody else.
So since I can't pronounce his actual name, Sholtai Boltai is the name of the company. Anakiv, right? Kiev, whatever his name is, that's his last name.
Mhm.
He's arrested in October.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. Area 1, Burisma rather, this is June. This
Right.
guy's arrested in October along with 2 FSB agents. The FSB agents were convicted
Right.
and they're sitting in jail. So by December, the FSB officers are arrested. This is 2016.
What exactly were they charged with? Do we know? I know you said traitor.
Counter espionage.
Okay, so but what were they leaking or moving or?
So they were collecting data and feeding it back to the US.
Okay, all right.
So they're convicted in 2017 and 18. The one guy is 22 years, the other guy's 14 years. And there's other people that ended up because this guy he started working with the Russians, right? He started providing actionable information. So other people got caught up in this and they also received significant sentences, but it really focused on these two. So while we're blaming the Russians, they're putting their people in jail for doing whatever it is we're blaming them for.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting. He's finally released in August of 2018 after 2 years in prison, and he got out on good behavior, and he was required to shut down his company, Sholtai Boltai, which I know a lot of people don't know about this. But what's the convergence? You've got CrowdStrike attributing this private company with nefarious activity when in fact That activity led to significant prison sentences inside Russia. They're blaming the activity on Russia itself. This is obviously outside of that. And so but the origin, the sourcing, all of the verification for that activity still to this day has been unproven. There's no independent review of how they came to that assessment, which is important because was the attribution ever independently reset? Did the DNC attribution originate with CrowdStrike? And then years later, Area 1 attributed it to Burisma? What independent evidence connected each attribution to Russia? And so one of the things I point to is the video we watched last week. He's saying for sure, it is believed, he said, it is believed that CrowdStrike was also in the 702. So that takes us to these information streams converging. You got a couple of different stories going on here. You got this Steele dossier that now McCain is, if you notice the date, right? McCain has sent Kramer, his chief of staff, to London to get a hard copy. And they're bringing it back to push it through the FBI. In July, you've got the intelligence reporting where Brennan is briefing Obama over this supposed Russian infiltration, right? So this is going into the DNC. He's briefing Obama. Why? Well, literally, if they're going to open an investigation into the DNC hack, you need a 811 referral, which requires the president's approval. Okay? So far, this is legit.
Yeah.
Does it stay that way? You be the judge.
Hmm.
But the result of this opens Crossfire Hurricane. That's where the rub comes.
Yeah.
Because they're automatically attributing the DNC hack to the Trump campaign. You see that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
And then finally, they open up the July 26th becomes Crossfire Hurricane, and it starts with who? Poppy. Because of what they framed him to do in that bar in London.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Russia was coming up with negative information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they open it up, even though it was coerced, if you will.
Poor Poppy.
Well, a lot of people think, and that's why I put this note here, a lot of people think Crossfire was opened up because of the dossier. No, it's opened up because of Poppy.
Well, that's what they used, but they had the dossier ready and they were laundering it.
The dossier comes back into the story when this story starts to fall.
Mm.
But they don't stop it. And remember, they opened up an investigation on him. In the meantime, you got Carter Page hanging in the wings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that takes us to the August-September timeframe.
Mm-hmm.
In August, and this is where I really found this to be interesting, because in August, you've got the investigative lead. So you've got the FBI interviewing Poppy. You've got Stefan Helper talking to Poppy in London, right? So August 2nd to August 19th. You can't dismiss the coincidence of that date. So FBI's interviewing him on the 2nd. August 19th, Helper with Downer meet with Poppy in the bar. Halper's paid by Office of Net Assessments. Do you see the connection there?
Yes.
Okay. By the end of August, you've got Carter Page being interviewed. This is starting to run south. Here's our hook. This is our FISA. FBI opens up an investigation on Manafort. This is where Deripaska comes in. I don't know if you're familiar with the Deripaska story, but Deripaska is the person who bailed out Manafort. Manafort got into financial trouble.
Right.
Deripaska bailed him out. So in September, the FBI wants to open up an investigation on Manafort. Why? Manafort, for a very short period of time, was Trump's campaign manager.
Mm-hmm.
And they went, we got an idea. So Deripaska flies into JF Kennedy Airport in New York City. Never leaves the tarmac, by the way. FBI says, well, we need dirt on Manafort. He said, this is bullshit. Gets back on his plane and leaves. So Manafort then because of the noise around it, he's forced to leave within just like 2 weeks. Okay. And then in September, they're still looking for information from Oleg Deripaska. Now, why did they focus on Deripaska? Literally, Deripaska for years have been trying to get a U.S. visa. And the comment from Bruce Orr, of all people, is we don't give visas to terrorists because of his connection to Mogilevich, who was a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you got over here on August 17th, Carter Page had been an approved operational contact. Reason why I question the narrative about Pienka is the reason why that question comes up August 17th. It's Pienka who sent the letter. A part of developing a FISA, they have to check the box. And one of the most important check marks is they have to question the IC to make sure that their target isn't already an asset.
Right.
Okay. So Kathleen Keviluk comes back in and other people, but Pienka sends the letter. The CIA sends back saying, yes, he's an asset for us. And they sent a packet of information. Keep that in your memory. That's August 17th. There's no Carter Page FISA. September 7th, we now are looking into Clinton campaign plan involving Donald Trump, Russian hackers, FBI leadership. All of that is all coming to a head.
Mm-hmm.
And this is interesting because that leads directly to the Deripaska interview in September. Okay. Now we've got to go after, because we got to separate these two. We got to show Trump is the bad guy. By the time you get to the New York field office piece in September, they've got the Wiener laptop comes up, and the New York Police Department confiscated that laptop. It wasn't until there was noise about how long it was taking for them to do something with it that it really gets dicey for the New York Police Department. But within hours of obtaining that warrant, they discover more than 300,000 emails on the Wiener laptop. Remember, all but 2 went through the Carter Heavy Industries. Now you see it moved, right?
Yes.
So Strzok, McCabe, and Priestep in the New York office are all briefed on the discovery, what the New York Police Department found. And they're looking at the significance of the material. And then notice the difference in dates. We go from September 28th, October 4th. We got additional discussions, and then it goes dead.
He's looking for Sean.
Is he? He likes Sean
right now.
So we've
there
got,
he is.
they don't want, this is why this is in red. You notice we go from the 4th of October. It isn't until the end of October that finally they're forced to take action. What is that action? Well, the New York Police Department and Eric Prince, remember Eric Prince? He says, we've got information we're going to put out within a few days. Then they come in and they go, oh crap. Loretta Lynch reassigns or fires most of the field office in New York, threatens the New York Police Department. If you open your mouths, we're going to reopen the Eric Garner case.
Eric Garner, if for anyone who doesn't remember the Eric Garner case,
I can't
it's
breathe.
the guy who was, I can't breathe. He was allegedly selling cigarettes, and they...
No, not just any cigarettes. They call them the whites, short whites, which is Mogilevich, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a cottage industry.
So she was extorting or blackmailing the NYPD if you don't fire these people, right?
No, if they said anything about the laptop, she was going to reopen the case.
Wiener
the grand jury
laptop.
The grand jury had just closed it, finding nobody was at fault within the police department. He actually died in the hospital of an asthma attack.
How the heck was that not? How the heck was that not public? Made public? That
it
threat
was made public, but then completely suppressed.
Yeah.
Everybody cried foul.
Who was the the captain, the chief of police at that point? NYPD. Do you know?
I don't remember.
Oh, it was Eric Adams.
Oh,
It was Eric
okay.
Adams. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Very interesting.
I think I remember that. I had just forgotten it, but yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Well, they dutifully piped down,
Yep.
right? So now you've got pressure for them to keep their mouths shut because we can't have mid-year come up again. And we suppressed the whole thing. And what's really interesting is that laptop came into Main Justice and then disappeared. But do you notice who's not in this picture? Who's the head of the FBI?
Comey.
Tell me.
Do you see his name anywhere on that part of the slide?
No.
So
Right.
was it a rogue element within, perhaps?
Where's Strzok? He's
Not-
in charge of the Washington field office.
Chaplain.
Andrew McCabe.
Yeah.
Who was the
So
deputy
when McCabe-
director, I think.
When McCabe got fired, the day he got fired in 2017, his lawyer stood outside of Main Justice and said, "We can't look at all the documents because they're sealed."
McCain. You mean McCabe? Andrew McCabe.
McCabe.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I thought you said McCain.
No, McCabe.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Do you see Comey's name on this?
No.
Yeah. It was Strzok and Lynch that went to New York with Priestap and a few others. Wait a minute. Go back here. So here, now we've got an approved CIA asset who suddenly is back into the crosshairs, right? The CIA says, "Hey, he's ours."
Meaning Carter Page.
Carter Page. And then CIA says, "Yeah, he's our asset."
Mm-hmm.
Until we get to October.
Of
And
2016.
suddenly an email. Well, now you've got the information. They should have known that he was an asset. It was already documented. They should have known all of this. Yet in October, we're getting ready to not only do the first FISA is being approved. We're already preparing for the renewal. And who's a part of that renewal paperwork? Kleinsmith.
Kleinsmith.
Who later in 2017 actually edits an email.
Oh, you're laying something out.
Mhm.
I see what
Yeah,
you're doing.
Carter Page was a target.
I see
So-
what you're doing. Hmm.
But they all knew Carter Page was clean. We get to the internal fact checking. The State Department, Kathleen Kavalek sends an email to the DOJ FBI saying, "Hey, I got some issues about this FISA." But none of her about the Steele dossier, because they use that as the predicate. None of that is added to the FISA application. In fact, her email is completely ignored. And then we get to where we're briefing the Steele reporting from June all the way through October 21st with the FISA application. All of that gets pulled into the Durham review. So what I'm showing you here, which is interesting, is from the first Carter Page FISA to the Durham review, all of that information, not all of it got into Durham's hands, by the way. Do you remember why? What's opened in 2018? Round River?
Oh,
Oh.
you say what was open? There's like a dozen different things that were juggling.
Remember, but remember what? Do you remember what Round River was? It was an information middleman.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Investigators could not get inside that database without special access.
Yeah, and there were only 3 individuals indicted under the preceding the Durham investigation.
But
Only
if you
3
look at it,
people.
you got, it's Kleinsmith for the email,
Danchenko.
Sussman for Alpha Bank,
Yeah.
and Danchenko for the foreign piece to that, which connects, by the way, to the Vatican.
2 of them were
So-
acquitted, and 1 pled guilty.
He pled guilty. He got his law license back in 2021.
Yeah, so a lot of good that did.
Right.
It has to be
So-
something bigger stemming from it, though. The Durham investigation. It
I've been
has to
saying
be.
this. Been saying this for years.
It's got to be maybe contributed to the grand jury on conspiracy in Southern District of Florida.
I do
suspect.
think it does.
Yeah, it's got to be. Otherwise,
But
it
you
would
can-
be considered a flop. Along
Right.
with the Mueller investigation, of course.
Right. I do think that's true.
Yeah.
So when we got here is a little problem though, because there's so many things happening that um, we're trying to create something out of whole cloth, and we can't find evidence.
Who's
right?
we?
This is FBI,
Okay.
DOJ.
Working on slide 12 at this point.
I'm on slide 12. Yes.
The bad actors.
Yeah. So we got a problem. We're collecting, we've done this dragnet, we're collecting all this intel, it's all in the database. We can't find anything to really definitively hang anybody. Problem is we gotta file FISAs. FISAs require an evidentiary path.
What's
so
that?
what do? We create
Slide
one.
bigger, so it's full screen. I see the deck. I don't see the.
Oh, you can't see?
Nope. I just see the.
Is
There
that
we
better?
go.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
I'm so sorry.
The audience couldn't see it, so I want.
On my screen, it looks full screen. I'm sorry.
No, I figured that's why I wanted to.
Okay, so we have an issue. We got the Kathleen Kavalek story. I wanted to alert you to some significant issues with the information that Christopher Steele provided to David Kramer. Remember, Kramer sent by McCain to go to London to get a hard copy of that Steele report. We have looked at the information that Mr. Steele provided relating to meetings in Moscow, have serious concerns about some of the more technical aspects of the report. I have to laugh at that. She's talking about the hotel issue.
So,
right?
brief summarize for everybody, because I remember Kathleen Kavalek, but can you brief everybody on?
She's a CIA person.
Okay.
She's one of the people that have been providing information to the FBI as to who's an asset, who isn't.
Yep.
She was given the Steele dossier, and she's telling the FBI it's bullshit.
So is she the one that also confirmed, hey, this guy that you got over here, Carter Page, yeah, he's one of ours. Was that her?
Yes. It looks like that's her.
Okay. And yeah, that's right. I remember. Okay, yeah. They totally dismissed her.
Everything she's been sending has been left out of the
She
FISA.
testified, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Not only she testified to Durham for sure.
Yeah.
Not only are they suppressing what she's sending, but they can't find any hard evidence. That's where the wrap-up smear comes in.
CIA. It's always.
Yep.
So now you've got a DOJ that's scrambling. They have no hard evidence with which to file these FISAs. This is October 11th.
Her confirmation should have been enough.
It should have been enough to shut it all down.
Yes.
They ignored her.
They totally outright ignored. Which, I'm sorry, but anybody involved in it that ignored it should have been. I don't know why they weren't included in on the.
That gets to the William Barnett story, which comes up in a couple slides.
Oh, gosh.
But
knowingly is what you need in order for a crime to exist.
This is why, Pelosi called it a wrap-up smear. Grassley called it a information laundering. The
unless they did something to
IG called it the circular loop, the feedback loop.
Crossfire, or unless they did something to really support the notion of plausible deniability. That, like, I don't know what else they could have done regarding her, Kathleen Kavalek, and her.
No, they just completely suppressed it.
And pretend
both Horowitz and Durham both comment about that she tried to notify them. They suppressed it. So but the problem is, and this is why we have that unholy alliance. Remember the Horowitz report, they show the agency with all the wheel spokes going out to all the media, the unhealthy alliance, because they were using the media, and this came out definitively in 2019, but they were using the media. They would leak information to the media. The media would write about it. They would turn around and use it as support for their FISA. And so when the FISC came out angry about them doing that, I'm sitting here thinking, didn't you open the FISA? Because it's all in there. There's no real source information.
Right.
What that proves is, remember when they tried to get the FISA against Trump in June of 2016, customarily, the FISC said no. But they generally rubber stamp. Why? Because the Woods procedures that Mueller put in place back in 2004 and 5, everybody had this assurance that the people in the process were doing the right thing.
Okay.
And people like Kleinsmith were not doing anything outside of the rules-based order that had been established. So when a FISA would come into the FISC, they were pretty much rubber stamping it. So the fact that their source
How
material is
convenient.
a media report never got noticed until Horowitz starts to notice it. And that takes us to the month where everything starts to break. Now it's looking like Trump could win. We got an oh shit moment. This is called fruit of the poisonous tree problem. You know what that is, don't you?
Yep.
It's illegal surveillance. We have no predicate. And we're surveilling people with no predicate. We've got to get a Carter Page FISA in place.
Was somebody
which is an
surveilling the
upstream-
surveillers, I wonder?
Right. Well, that's why would you have 3? Isn't it interesting that there's all these Carter Page FISAs and the FISC doesn't get upset until 2018?
I always just assumed it was because they were in on it, or
Okay.
they
And isn't it
capitulated.
interesting that it mysteriously the Carter Page FISAs stop right after the Mueller report was released? There's a FISA and 3 renewals. Takes you right up to the Mueller report in 2019. Don't you find that timing interesting?
A little bit, yeah.
I've always thought that while they were pushing for the Carter Page FISA, the boomerang effect was taking place. The same as the whole Crossfire thing. There's a boomerang effect. One of the things that's in the Mueller report, page 13, volume 1, is about embeds. You find out the Durham report, same thing. He's got embeds. What are they doing? They're taking back information. So there's enough here for me to say, I don't think this is one-sided. FISAs work both ways.
FISAs work
comes to
both
mind.
ways. Oh, boy.
So here we are. I'm going to come back into the laptop. So at October 4th, we get the laptop. You got the Kavlik warning on October 11th. You got Rogers letting the FISC know about the server problems, 702 problems. Carter Page FISA is authorized. They've rushed that in. What's interesting about Rogers notifying the FISC is Rogers told DOJ, hey, we got problems. DOJ goes rushing to the FISC saying, hey, we found problems with the 702 before Rogers could fully brief the FISC. So they're backing into it. So October 24th and 26th, after they get Carter Page through, you get the compliance problems is talked to with the Rogers briefs DOJ. Government discloses to the FISC significant section 702 compliance issues, including improper use of U.S. person identifiers. Court extends certifications to obtain more information. So how did this come about? Every year, all of the intel agencies have to do an audit with the FISC on their use of the 702. As they're preparing for their audit, his people, Rogers' people, notice that there's improper use of the 702. Where is it housed? Of course, it's housed at DNI. So they told this to Rogers. Rogers then shuts down, this is back in April of 2016, he shuts down the access that these uncleared contractors had to the database. Rogers' problem is he doesn't tell, at least what we see, on formal documentation the FISC put out, Rogers didn't tell the FISC until September, October of 2016. So you've gone from April to September, October before the FISC knows about it. So there's Rogers's hole, if you will. When Rogers then finishes the audit, he notifies the DOJ, hey, we got issues. DOJ then circumvents him before he goes to the FISC and says, hey, we found these issues. So now you've got the DOJ trying to circumvent Rogers. Rogers then comes in with his assessment and all of his research into the audit, and he notifies the FISC. All of this is happening the end of October. And then what also happens because of the emails found on Wiener's laptop, Comey reopens the mid-year on October 28th. That to me, this is all convergent.
What?
See, I had the same reaction when we went over this, Sean. I had the identical reaction. I was like, what? What?
I did not know
it
that.
continues and it reopens it so they can keep adding to it. And then he kind of backfucked them on it. Pardon my language. I'm sorry.
No,
But he did.
He did though.
So they're trying like the Dickens to get rid of the mid-year.
Right.
The Wiener laptop
the
proves there's an
DOJ
issue.
was trying like hell.
DOJ and FBI, they're trying like hell. Get rid of the mid-year. Remember
But again,
the containment wall.
just a reminder for everybody out there listening, and for those just joining us, that mid-year exam, which was the Hillary server,
No reasonable prosecutor will take.
which was shut down right before Crossfire Hurricane kicked off, and it was so by him saying that, by Comey saying, a lot of people was like, "What are you talking about? No reasonable process." Everybody was like, "What? Hair pulling on her hair?" You know.
Now, just
but
think through that for a minute, though. What does that do?
it shelved it.
But
It preserved those documents.
There you go.
Bingo.
Because he didn't have the authority to do that July 6th video, the presser. He had no authority to open or close. He's directed by the DOJ, right? So when he closes the case, DOJ never received the evidence file.
Right.
So it was never formally closed.
So why wouldn't he have gotten in trouble?
Because
did he?
Obama at this, let me tell you, because at this point, and this happened when Rogers went to meet with Trump in November, something similar happened.
Yeah.
They tried to get, there was a call to fire Comey.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. And then when a call to fire Rogers didn't happen. Why? Because Obama said it'll become about me. It's the end of my term. He wasn't going to do that.
Right.
The only thing Obama did is he went ahead and ousted some Russian diplomats.
So you
That's
got
the only thing.
So you got to ask yourselves, guys, everyone listening, you got to ask yourself, all right, how would one go about preserving said documents? What would be the best avenue to achieve this and not make it obvious that my objective is to preserve them?
I don't
if you're
think
being
anybody,
objective, you got to ask yourself,
I don't think anybody in the DNC side, this is why they were so angry.
Right.
I don't think anybody was fooled. No lawyer should have been fooled. That's for sure.
That's not who matters. Who matters is
the public
us. Is the
perception.
public perception, the court of public opinion.
Bingo.
I'm listening. I got to go pull something out of the oven. Keep going.
Okay. So on October 28th, because of the Wiener laptop, suddenly Comey reopens.
Mhm.
Remember, we've had nothing going on up until October 28th.
Right.
Everything kind of died down. The DOJ took custody of the laptop. Nothing happens until the end of the month. Suddenly, Comey reopens the mid-year. Literally, 5 days before the election? 4, 5, 6, 7 days.
I feel like he's a gray hat. Like sometimes he's a white hat, sometimes he's a black hat. So I just kind of in my head, I've now
I
labeled.
think he's
gray.
conveniently in a position
He can go.
that
both ways.
no, it's not even a matter of a role.
Yeah, he's
think
like
he's
a double
convenient.
agent in essence.
I don't think he's a double agent. I
Well,
actually don't see him as a bad guy.
People to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't see Comey as a bad guy, but I think he plays one very well.
I hope you're right. I
Yeah.
hope. In my
Too
mind,
many
I
other
hope
things
that
in his
it's right.
history. Too many other things in his history. He's actually well regarded in his history. You ought
That's
to look
true.
into his background.
That's true.
So when that search warrant is executed to get the Wiener laptop on the 30th of October, he's already opened the mid-year exam, reopened it for that purpose. And he says, well, we need to reopen it because we found 300,000 emails. Remember, they were disappeared. They were already
Right.
using hammers on the devices, remember?
Right.
And they had already, who bleach bidded the server stuff? CrowdStrike. I
Bitted
mean,
or
bleach
bitch
bidded,
bleeded.
but whatever they did, whoever that used the bleach bit, that was CrowdStrike.
I know. I'm sorry.
So we're looking at here, this interesting little timeline pulls all of the crap, the hard work they've been laying out to do a Crossfire, brings it back front and center, pissed off everybody. There was a loud cry to fire him over that. Obama didn't. So it's worth noting, don't you think?
Yeah.
So now you got a FISA problem, right? His credibility and the purpose for the FISA, because they used it as a predicate. By October 11th, the credibility is like through the tank. And then the application itself is omitting a lot of exculpable information intentionally. We come back to the field office with the Wiener laptop, and this is just like they can't cut a break, right? We're now looking between October 4th and 11th. You got two major issues that are just smacking down the FBI field office, right? Then add the political problem. From all the month of October, it was already showing that Trump was not only a viable candidate, but internal polling was showing he was going to win. Everything they were doing to prevent him from taking office was failing. Everything. And now you've got panic. And that's why I call October that point where the containment fence that they built broke. And you start seeing this aggressive activity that, unless you understand what happened before then, is that a full screen?
Yes.
Okay. Unless you understand what happened before this, you're not going to understand what took place in November and December.
Could Comey just have been doing this to protect his ass from both sides, maybe?
No, I actually think there's a lot of good people doing hard work.
I mean, I agree, but what's the likelihood that he could have very well been doing this so
Well,
he could cover his own ass?
that. You know the jury's out on that. I pointed out a couple of anomalies, right? Why are you briefing your boss after you brief DNI? Why wasn't Comey with Lynch in New York? Why was it struck?
Yeah, you're right. It was the underlings uniting together.
Yeah.
So why would, and that brings up a valid.
They were walling him out of these conversations. And remember, who's leading the Mueller investigation? Weissman, who's a McCabe ally.
Yeah. Damn.
I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to what I was just asking. Is it possible that he was just doing it to protect his own ass?
What is he covering if he's being kept out of the
from both sides?
Loop? Okay. You're welcome to the opinion.
It's not an opinion. It's just a question.
I don't have an answer.
The box.
There's no way to have an answer
I
to
think
that.
That would contribute to the notion of him being, the nuance, the gray area that we've often talked about that Mayor just brought up.
I don't know. I went back through Comey's history. If you go back to 2009, 10, 11, there's some interesting history
There's some interesting. You can say it from both sides. There's things that he's done that has been very shady.
I also can tell you, well, I don't think it's shady. I don't think everything is shady. I think the media made it shady. There's another thing to point out. McCabe, the rank and file at the FBI, hated. They were glad he got fired.
Yep.
The opposite was true for Comey. He was adored.
That's a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow.
It is, but it's true. They really appreciated Comey. Comey made them feel like they mattered.
Yeah, all 9 feet tall of them.
Yeah,
so
right.
Isn't that
the truth?
Felt heard and respected is what I'm hearing you say under his leadership. They didn't feel ignored or just thrown out as cannon fodder.
Well, they also weren't, because when you look at some of the garbage that was going on with the leadership within the FBI, they were throwing their own people under the bus.
No, that's been a culture after Hoover died. That culture.
Remember Sandy Cable? What's his symbol on LinkedIn? A pawn.
Right.
What would explain his rhetoric?
Who?
Comey.
Comey's rhetoric?
Yeah.
I think you need that rhetoric.
What is Sean, let me propose this, and I'm just devil's advocate right now. I don't have a dog in this fight.
I love it.
So what would take a stronger backbone? Would it be to just be adored and always do what seems right? Or would it be the stronger backbone to play the villain even though you
That
know
would be that would
or
require
not.
stronger
That would
backbone.
be that. It
Right.
takes a lot of work to do that,
Yeah.
right?
That's what we're discussing, is the possibility that he is
Yeah.
just simply of an enormous backbone and is willing, like Trump, to take the slings and arrows. Because
Slings and arrows.
that's
But
what.
but also I'm going to
serious
add to
stuff
your
what it is.
thought, Mary. As the director of the FBI, he can't look like he's a Trumpite,
Right. You can't.
or
look,
they would have gone after him.
Yep.
Right.
I agree with that.
Right.
So he can't look like he's a sycophant for Trump. He's
matter
got to
what he
look.
does, he has
He's
half
got to
the-
look adversarial,
Yeah.
and even to this day, he's got to look adversarial.
Yes.
Otherwise, what doesn't he loses something. He's got the ear of lawfare. Remember,
Yeah.
Benjamin Witt? He's got the
So-
ear of all the lawfare. He's got the ear of senior FBI personnel that are in the background cajoling.
And his
So
daughter.
and
that,
his
Mary?
daughter, right?
Oh,
his
his
daughter.
does
Yeah.
too. Yeah. She was high up in the.
But
She's in
a lot
Southern District of New York.
But a lot of our community puts her in the gatekeeper, I think,
Yeah.
category.
And she might have been. I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that Comey was in a unique position
certainly.
to keep his ear to the ground.
Then, all right. To that, on that note, then wouldn't it be prudent for Kash Patel, for that matter? Which, if you look at the extent of his body of work so far, it's not really been at all, propping up Trump at all. It's been,
No.
a lot of
do
him.
work.
Yeah, a lot of important stuff that he's actually achieved, like getting fentanyl off the streets, the precursors, the Chinese interference, and the
Traffickers.
yes, big one.
Huge.
Yeah, he's been going after scam centers.
Let me ask a question, Sean.
Yeah.
What did he do with those burn bags?
What did who do with those burn bags?
Cash.
Presented them to the DOJ, I suspect.
And who else would have interests in those?
Who else would have it? What,
A
man?
grand jury? A grand
DNI
jury?
or Pulte, I would assume.
Oh, I'm sure, but a grand jury for sure.
Yep.
He's so
And-
busy
Uh,
taking care of the street stuff. What happened to those damn burn bags? And what happened to the point where he says to Sean Hannity with a great big grin from ear to ear
Yeah. Chesser
that
cat.
he knows who left those bags?
Christopher Wray.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if we're correct, those burn bags go back quite a ways. It's not
Yeah.
just under Ray's term.
They're not just any burn bags, right?
At least
talking
2017.
about 15 years of burn bags,
Wow.
at least.
At
The
least.
other thing I'll add, Comey is the only one that didn't take the pardon from Biden. He openly said, if I take it, that's admitting guilt. And
Oh, that's right.
Yes. He did not take a pardon.
Not out
Man,
there.
that's genius.
Thank you, Mary, for remember that.
Wow.
I'm here for every now and then. I just every now and then.
You did a good job with that one.
Little
Thank you.
Oh,
Here we go.
Hats
You
off
get
to
a
you, girl.
judgment. You get a
So, but I'm also hearing that DeGenova is having a hard time getting his hands on certain information. I think. Oh, actually, that was in reference to Thune and somebody else in the Senate. He's been
If
recording.
this stuff has been going on with all of these things in the burn bags, I don't think Thune or anyone in Congress can hold them. I think there
I
are
actually,
duplicates.
my opinion, since Cash found them,
That's what Solomon
he's
reported.
conveniently said no more about them. It is my opinion that those are sitting in the hands of a grand jury and they're not going to be given to Congress. Not as long as they're actionable.
Well, and half of Congress is dirty, at least.
And then you've got suddenly out of the clear blue, Solomon suddenly gets the ability to get certain files declassed.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that some of the stuff he's declassifying just happen to be things that would be in those burn bags?
Ben Q. Lurkin says, I think Feisty buried some of the burn bags herself. She's just admitting it.
I just read that too.
I didn't see
Pretty good, Ben.
Wow.
But that's what I'm saying. There's enough here. And I'm only in 2016. There's enough. Wait till you see what I've got for 2018 and 19. You're going to step back and go, wait a minute. So the system got turned on them the moment Comey got fired. And I'll prove it.
Welcome in, Adel.
Oh,
Well, welcome in.
go these
I
badass patriots.
I love this slide, by the way. This is your official oh shit moment.
Okay.
That's the Daily Mirror. What have they done?
Right.
Because I couldn't get I tried for like an hour. I tried. I got CNN. I had all of them trying to get that moment on the camera where they're like literally going into tears because Trump is winning.
Mm-hmm.
But then I found this and I thought, this is better.
Mm-hmm.
What have they done as Trump wins? Right. So that's the second letter comes out November 6th. And right before the election, he says, oh, we've looked at the emails. There's nothing there. We'll close it again. 2 days before everybody's, voting. And mind you, the whole story from September through November is affecting mail-in voting. The early votes, remember? It is noted that people did change their vote based on what Comey was doing.
Yeah.
So I actually think he was a wrench in the system to try to help make sure Hillary didn't get an overwhelming number of votes. And then, of course, what do we know? That there were, in fact, I was a part of one of them. There were these ground teams. We formed a network so that if anybody found any kind of shenanigans going on in the precincts, it immediately went up the chain. Our particular group, was responsible for getting 2 people arrested in the panhandle of Florida
Oh, wow.
because of the shenanigans that got reported through our network. And it was this nationwide network of people, poll watchers, working together, making phone calls. We were calling law enforcement. We had a lot going on November 8th itself.
Something else just occurred to me. Let me add this in real quick. In the timeline that we're looking at with Comey coming out like the week of the election and doing that, just hit me. They'd been suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop, and the October surprise had gone. And then it led to everybody getting pulled off of, censored and removed and Facebook and all the stuff. So perhaps that prompted this next move. The October
It's the same playbook, right?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like in the timeline, you had the Hunter Biden laptop 2 weeks before. Okay, that censored everybody. Then Comey comes out and is opening an investigation, then closes it again right before. But the media covered that one.
The media kept getting told by people like Obama, there's no way, there's no path to 260 or 270. Trump will not be president. So the media was already covering up for what the internal polling was already saying. And so when Comey pulled his stunt and publicly raises questions about a Hillary Clinton vote, how many people do you know? I know a lot of people who said they ended up voting for Trump, not because they liked Trump, but because they were disgusted with Clinton. Remember?
Yeah, I knew a few.
I knew quite a few as well. So this whole story, I think, begs another look, another kind of step back and take it in kind of thing. Because right after this transition begins and all hell breaks loose after the election in November and December. So the record itself didn't disappear. Remember, this is all in the Crossfire database. All of their investigative work from Stellar Wind from 2009, all of those SF-86s that were stolen from OPM, all the way through to where we're at now, all of that is now in the Crossfire database, which in 2018 gets migrated into Round River. So what is that done for? Well, it's because they got an illegal set of surveillance practices that is widely known, and they got to take all this illegal information and find a way to make it legal. And that's where you get Mueller, which I also think is a sting operation. First line, Mueller was taking in evidence needed to take down the deep state. Very first line of the Mueller Design 2 post. So that takes us into late November when Kramer then suddenly goes to the UK and gets that Steele dossier because like, shit, this is our only hope. We've got to get this into the mainstream. And then they get, remember, they get what's his name with Yahoo to publish the Steele dossier. That's creating the public pressure to look into this, because damn, now we just voted him president.
Right.
And then that material comes back to Washington and it goes through a whole new channel, goes straight to the FBI, goes straight to the media, and it creates the need to really put pressure to open. Now we've got a transitioning person. We've gone from candidate to a president-elect being actively spied upon. And that takes you, by the way, it takes you into January, February with Flynn, with Sessions, with a lot of these other people. They're actually investigating their own bosses. You can't ignore, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I clicked that. I am so sorry. But you can't ignore the roadmap, right?
Right.
So here we are. The election did not end because now they're in this point of, if anybody finds out, we're going to have nooses around our head. Remember that comment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the Bush Senior comment?
No, that's Hillary Clinton herself.
Yeah.
Been a while.
Yeah, that's Hillary Clinton herself.
I remember watching Obama right after the election. He was doing a press conference. And I remember one of the reporters asking him about Russian interference. And I remember him just kind of laughing and going, well, I mean, we thought it was going to work out for us, so we didn't do anything initially. Like, we thought they were interfering for Hillary, is what he was saying at the podium. I can't find that clip now, but I vividly remember it.
Yeah, I remember that too. And I used to ask the
question,
question, does it make sense where there all these sanctions, they just remember in December, they evict Russian diplomats. Does it make sense that Russia wants Hillary? No. So now the story has to change. Now they're saying Trump was colluding.
Well, hold on.
Where it used to,
does it make sense that maybe?
Why would Russia want Hillary in?
If they're privy to Hillary, if they're privy to the 16-year plan to destroy America, and they're privy to, because I've had it in my mind that she was going to manage the economic decline of America. And yeah, of course Russia would be interested in that. No?
But then I got to ask a question. Explain Ukraine.
Bingo.
Explain Ukraine.
The Ukraine civil war began in 2014. Where did it begin? In the Donbass, which is where
2014.
on the border of Russia.
Yeah.
What they were trying to do is create a pressure point for two nuclear powers to go to war.
Yes.
Or at least be on the verge of war. And that's where we've been.
Some of all fear
since
scenario.
2014.
That's that sum of all fear scenario. What? Between Russia and America?
Yes, Russia and the U.S. Two
Just
superpowers.
like some of all fears. Okay.
Okay. Take
yeah,
that
I might need
step,
to redo that one.
Take that another step, because I listened to both Putin and Xi both saying, no, they had no intentions of using nuclear. In fact, Putin came out and said, you want to go that way? I can too. And my red button works, he says, referring to the reset. Remember the reset?
I thought that was in reference to Kim Jong-un's red button. That was
all of the stuff going on with the noise around Crimea. Remember, they still say Russia's occupying Crimea, when in fact that's not true. So I'm just saying, if you're trying to create even the impression of a Cold War redux, where we're constantly on edge about a nuclear war, this was a perfect way to start that. Yeah.
Smaller ones are 7 mil. I'll double check.
So I'm taking you now into the November to January pivot, because this takes you right into General Flynn. Okay. Everything is now falling apart. Everything. They're getting desperate. And so what you have here is a shift. we now have Trump has won the election,
On the backside, you're gonna have a
and we've gone
crankcase
from
vent
being a
hose
candidate
attaches there.
into a
It'll just
transitioning
slip off.
president-elect, and
then
you've
here's your
got
carburetor.
now an active counterintelligence operation against him. Okay,
Just grab it,
remember
pull.
that required
pressed
President
onto the
Obama's
head.
approval. Then you get a
pull
second
it off,
chain open
grab
up.
some pliers,
This is where Surinder Wood,
move your fuel
McCain
line,
story,
clamp,
Orbis story, all of that comes in
and
because
then grab some vice grips
McCain
or
sends
needle nose
Kramer
vice grips if you got 'em,
to
and
the UK
clamp your
right
fuel line
after
off
the
so you don't
election
lose
to get
any
a
fuel,
physical copy of that sealed
then
dossier,
wiggle your fuel line
who
free.
then McCain hands to the FBI, who then leaks it to the media,
gotta pull
and you got David
your choke
Ignatius writing
and
it
your
up
throttle
in the
linkage off.
Yahoo, right? Remember,
You
it
just
was a
have to
Yahoo
kind of bend
post.
your carburetor around.
He published the whole thing. So that entire
they slide
story
off.
was designed
And take note
to
of which
create an
direction
urgency.
all of these
Oh my
arms
God,
are.
we've elected him
Because if you
president,
get 'em
and
crossed
he's a treasonous
that,
SOB.
It won't choke right.
And that's
So
where
that
we're
needs to be
now
on the
we've got to
backside of that,
create a
and the spring
need
pulling
for a
that
special
way,
counsel
so
to
that it
take
stays
all of our
choked.
illegal shit that now Trump has access
your
to
thermal
and try to
to
find
the
a way to
head.
make it legal. So you got the intelligence
Once you
track
pull it off,
happening between
grab
November
some
6th and the
pliers,
31st, where you've got the
grab your
IC
fuel line,
assessments coming in,
clamp,
remember, regarding Russia
and grab
and
some
U.S.
vice grips or
elections
needle
and
nose
the
vice grips if you got 'em.
expulsion of the Russian
And
diplomats. You've got the interagency
Clamp your fuel line off so
coordination,
you don't lose any
and
fuel.
sitting in that, you got the IC itself, but
wiggle
you
your
got
fuel
FBI,
line free.
DOJ, Department of State, Treasury, all of that is coming together, and then that flows
Now you gotta
into
pull
every
your choke
bit of
and your throttle
policy
linkage off.
and decision making
You
that
just have
takes
to kind
place
of
from
bend
here
your
on out.
carburetor around.
And this is all actually widely
Until they slide
reported
off.
in the
And
ICA
take
in
note of
2016,
which
the original
direction
ICA.
all of these arms
Remember,
are.
Russia was not
Because if you
key
get them crossed,
in the original
like
ICA. That turns
it won't
in,
choke
in
right.
January. That comes up in the
so
next
that needs to be
timeline.
on the back side
But
of
that turns where they now
and then
saying
the
Russia
spring
was
pulling
key.
that way.
And then you go in from
that it
the
stays choked.
rest of that. You get the steel information coming
So
in.
your
Now you've
thermal-
got these
thermal choke pushes
a
it off
third track,
like
right?
that.
So you got the legislative part.
But
You've got the
that's the way it
intelligence
should look. Then your
community
throttle-
part. Now you've got this steel information that is
Open this bowl up and see what the
now
inside of it looks like.
widely
I've never been crazy
circulated
about these type
within law
carburetors. They're
enforcement,
all plastic.
and then you're
Internals are
sitting in a
plastic.
transition conundrum.
O-rings are pretty much garbage.
What is that?
So I'll
Who
try to save
is
it,
the guy
but
that would scare the
he may
bejesus
be
out
too
of an
far
IC?
gone.
How about a national security advisor named General Flynn? He has access, all that intel.
Knows where the
They
body-
can't have him come on board. And you start seeing the
Gonna have a little
shift
gas leak up.
move to get him set up.
Mhm.
So this is where we take it into January. And that brings me to the
yes.
November 4th transition,
gas stinks.
where you get a
It's
second
old.
letter from Comey where he tells Congress that the FBI found all those emails on November 6th. You get the election, the oh shit. You get the Kramer-McCain transition with the Steele dossier. Then we order the intelligence assessment in
Bowls,
December.
Once you remove those
The
two,
original assessment was not what
two
was
screws
released.
there, bowls just
Then
have to
they
press
they
in.
actually they start to aggregate
So,
that assessment
take a
into
flathead,
the information that was used
pry it
against
under
Trump,
the ear,
and then you get
get
the
a little
renewal
separation.
process for the Carter Page FISA comes
Pull it
up in
open.
January.
That
Why
with a
is
lot
that
of water.
important? Who's doing that? Kleinsmith.
A lot of water inside there.
He's preparing the documentation for the Carter Page FISA.
Take your
Remember,
float
he's the
pen.
one that eventually edits an email in 2017.
pull it out.
Yeah.
So now you get
Knowingly, well, you gotta say why he
Because
was
that's-
editing it.
This is why I keep throwing him in the timeline, because he knew in October that Carter Page wasn't a CIA asset. But it didn't come up in the original FISA. It didn't come up in the second FISA,
Yeah,
which
he knowingly lied.
it was by the
Pull your
time
foot
you
out,
get to the end of
needle.
December, beginning of January, that renewal
Son of
application
a
was
bitch.
90 to 95%
Got some
completed.
man.
He
junk
knew.
built up on it.
And then finally you get to the
And then-
next renewal, the third renewal,
No, I'll
and
get it
he
in
then
another video
alters an
somewhere.
email
But this white section here
to try to
will come
keep it
out.
going. So this is a knowingly
Just be
situation. I
careful.
don't care how you look
Mhm.
at it,
Mhm.
right?
Agreed.
And
Pry it a
now
little
now
bit,
that takes
work
us
it around.
into this track,
There's an
the
O-ring
threshold where you've got
on the white
the
piece.
Russian
Try
intelligence,
not
you've got
to
the
mess up that O-ring.
ICA is ordered You got the attribution for the Russian interference in the election now goes mainstream by the middle of December. You see where we're setting up? Do you feel the intensity?
So there's a little edge
We're setting
nipple
up the
sticking out there
Russia
with the jet in it.
collusion
Take your
piece,
flathead,
and you get the Russian response.
pry it under it, and then
Trump
pop it up.
sanctions, not Trump,
There's some jet.
Obama
You
sanctions
spray
and
through
Congress
those,
sanctions Russia.
Spray through this thing,
And
clean it out
they ended
good,
up expelling 36 Russian operatives
and
from the
hopefully
country.
we can save this one.
Flynn then becomes a big part of what happens in this timeline, which I'll show you on the next slide. But this is key because Russia was pissed, and they were contemplating whether or not to react or respond to what the U.S. had just done. Then you got the McCain-Comey story, right, where he meets with Comey and gives Comey the at this point are 16 different reports from Steele. Remember, the full Steele dossier is 17 reports.
Yep.
And he got those through David Kramer because he went to London to get them. And then the Orr channel. So when all of this Steele stuff came out, then Steele is fired as an FBI asset, publicly fired. But Orr maintained those communications through his wife. Remember, she's now working for Fusion GPS. So she's able to continue, hands off a thumb drive to her husband.
Yep.
He brings it back to the FBI. And then you finally get Danchenko identified as the actual primary source for the Steele dossier, which was fed to him by whom?
Holy cow.
Charles Dolan.
Yep.
That's the gossip.
Charles Dolan.
Mm-hmm.
He was a thorn in
He's
her.
a Clinton operative.
But he ultimately ended up being a thorn in her side, right?
Yes. So then finally in December we get the
because he
beginning
rolled.
of the drafting.
He sung like a canary, didn't he?
He actually turned up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He ended up spilling some beans.
Wow.
So by the time we get to the end of December, we're into the final review for the renewal, the Carter Page renewal. And the transition team is in full blown ready to transition. And that takes us, like I said, to Flynn. You cannot dismiss the Flynn connection. This story is actually fascinating because they tried to go after Flynn for Logan Act violations, which is impossible. He's a transitioning team. He has full authority to work with his peers. So what ends up happening is this phone call with Kislyak saying, hey, please stand down, don't respond. We'll be in a couple of weeks. Kislyak then confirms with Flynn, yes, Putin has agreed not to respond. But you now have taken it to a UN resolution because Egypt is trying to stop an Israeli settlement construction. So that UN resolution gets introduced the end of December, and the transition team then is working with Russia and Egypt. And because of this strife over Russia, you've now got Kushner saying to Flynn, he's got the authority with the other officials, but hey, you need to contact all the UN SC members, including Russia. That's how he gets his in, right? Is through this Egypt resolution to delay the vote on the Israeli construction, but at the same time start to enter into discussion. And then Obama, of course, signs the EO that it puts the sanctions, and that leads to Flynn talking to KT McFarland saying, what should I do? And she says, talk to Kislyak. So he does. So you got the triangle there. And then finally, because of this conversation, Putin agrees not to retaliate. He conveys that back to Flynn, who conveys that back to KT McFarland. So if you go back to early 2017, they were also going after KT McFarland. Look at he just changed his logo. Do you see that?
He did. That's smart ass.
And it's right after that date, right after the decision to talk to Kislyak, that suddenly we've got communications intercepted, right? December 29th. And those communications start Crossfire Razor, which was against Flynn.
Right.
And Peter Strzok comes back and says, hey, remember when I told you to close out Crossfire Razor? Hold up, we have something else.
Okay.
And so they didn't close it. This is where William Barnett comes into the story. He actually has been very vocal about this, but he thought the Razor predication was, he called it not great, but he said it almost seethingly, right? And he said the whole theory was weak. And why? He said it was supposition on supposition on supposition is what he says, because Flynn was doing his job as an incoming national security advisor. And he felt that the investigators were more focused on conviction than on the truth. He actually says that out loud. And he considered escalating all of this to the IG. Yeah, he said that they were, and he specifically talks about Jeannie Rhee, talks about Weissman. He considers Weissman slime, which a lot of us do. But this all ends up becoming these people. Jeannie Rhee, you remember, she's part of the Mueller team. Every one of the, Weissman's the lead investigator. Every one of the investigators on the Mueller team are TDS inflicted. They're there for one purpose, get Trump.
Yeah.
So then they use the Logan Act to try to go after Flynn. And because their goal now, we got to get him out of here. He's got to go. And so they're using the Logan Act, which was always BS. He was doing what his job was, right? And that leads to the January 24th interview, which is Strzok and Pienka that interview him the end of January before he's released in February. So that takes you now through the entirety of the upbringing, right? The taking us from 2009, where we're doing illegal surveillance, pulling it into becoming a political attack, right? And taking it now to where they're now in a desperate move to try to cover their tracks because of everything they've done for the last 17 years. So next week, see, I did take us to 6:30. Next week, I'm going to take us from 2017 through 2018. I'm hopefully I can get both completely do both years. There is a ton of activity beginning in March and April of 2017, leading to the Mueller appointment in May. And that takes us through 2018, which is just off the rails confusing. Which is why, I'm just going to say it again, which is why I don't use, you notice there's none of what I've used as sources or media.
No, these are all.
This is all coming out of
stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I have, in fact, I love Grassley for that reason. He's given me a lot of information, but I'm using IG reports. I'm using court cases, using depositions that are under oath. I'm doing all of this to pull this together. The story is there. The media was muddying it up, right?
Sure.
Whether they were treating it as an, oh my God, the sky is falling, or trying to completely dismiss things. And that takes us into, just so you know, it takes us into 2019 with the Zelensky phone call to the impeachments, into the Hunter Biden laptop and what that was about, which automatically, by the way, remember, when did COVID begin? That's when they also took over the impeachment articles that same day. So we've got all of this happening in such a fashion that it kept the public guessing as to what the truth was. So what do you think?
Genius. This is an overload of information. This is incredible.
Well, I gave you the slides. You've got them. And it's everything that I felt. There's more, just so you know. My deck with this information is 387 pages.
Is that all?
Distilled into 19 slides. two of which are a title slide and a future deck slide.
You need to seriously, you need to use your AI tools and refine that 300 and some pages and get it self-published quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all.
Okay.
I'll help you market it. My
Okay.
husband self-published 3 novels.
She's right. Take her up on that.
This has been an interesting dig, and I hear what you're saying. And I am writing a book. You know that.
I know.
And this occupies actually 2 chapters in the book already.
Mm-hmm. How
Because
big
it's
is
so-
the book? 2,000 pages? Or were you doing War and
No,
Peace?
no. Right now
What
I'm
are
at
you
about I'm about 200 and I think 80 something pages
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
And I really think I need to kind of pare that back.
I would discourage you from pairing it too much. I think when you're dealing
Yep,
with this much,
I agree.
the more the
Well,
better.
I'm trying to remove redundancy and make sentences more broad-based, impactful,
Okay.
so that I don't have to say the same thing over and over, because I did find I was starting to do that.
Mm,
So
okay.
I'm working on that. And
Okay.
that's not been an easy thing. I've been physically writing this book now for 3 years, 2.5, 3 years,
Yeah.
maybe a little longer. So it's taken me a hot minute.
I was going to make a plea out to the audience because they have hung in there for this entire thing, and God bless them, because it's a lot. And I know I'm probably even going to have to go back and rewatch it because a lot of this information was new to me, even as we discussed last night. Feisty and I
Yeah.
ran the deck.
I showed her 11 slides, Sean, and
I was
she's like,
asking a lot of questions.
I didn't know about all this.
So like,
It's a lot to take in.
a lot of it, when you're getting all the way back to 2011 and that stuff, I was not paying close attention to details. I was busy working and I was sick for a chunk of that. It just wasn't on my radar. So it's new information. For the audience, not only do we implore you to do a thumbs up, red pill, share the show, invite your friends, as always, but if you have and I am being extremely sincere when I ask this, guys, what Feisty has put together, I don't know anybody else that has this. I don't know anybody else that has what she has just presented in such a clear timeline and can answer questions off the cuff, no matter what we throw at her.
Yep.
God bless her. Even when I try and make jokes to distract her, because I think it's funny. And the audience encourages me to get you to giggle now. They think it's funny. They're bagging me on. But if you have other podcasters, because what's going to happen is sooner or later the dam is going to break. The proverbial flood will happen, and all of these stories are going to converge. Do you know
think sooner than later, right? I really do think we're at that point.
It's coming. I can feel it. It's coming. Do you know anybody else that can explain this shit? Because I don't.
No.
So I would love if everybody in the audience, if you have other podcasters that you enjoy, like I like 412, anybody that we have good relations with, anybody that you all think is great.
Wait. Did you just say Sean has good relations with anybody?
I assume
I got
so.
crickets. Hold on.
Listen.
You get where I'm going. Have the podcasters bring Feisty on so she can run through this with their audience, because if you're not watching this show, I sincerely don't know where else they're getting this information on this level. And I'm being completely sincere. I really want Feisty out there because I want people to understand. I really want.
I appreciate that vote. I appreciate the confidence. I really do.
So just
there's been a benefit to being shoved in a corner all those years ago.
Yes.
There's been a huge benefit when I
Yes.
got kind of unceremoniously kicked out of the movement. I've been in my corner doing this stuff.
You would have never ended up with us. Finding
we
a family.
love you.
Yes. You have a family. We're a family now.
You could also say I was desperate when I ended up with you.
No, I wouldn't describe that. I wouldn't. I'm not blowing smoke. I wouldn't have described you as desperate.
You got it, Jay's Bar and Grill says, Sean, thank you for the show. Feisty and Mary are fire. I just wish I had the spare cash to support your all right now. Jay's Bar and Grill, do not worry about that, my friend. Never, please, never, ever worry about that. And to that point, just you know what, Jay's Bar and Grill, thank you for the comment. All right, thank you for that comment. And shout out to Ann Boyer.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Ann Boyer, who just donated a $20 Rumble Rant. Said, incredible stuff,
I
says
appreciate that a lot.
Owen Schroyer. Yeah, Owen Schroyer is now the new host of the show, Feisty Diggs, everybody.
So long since I even looked at any of his comments or any of his stuff.
Trust me, you're not missing
off the rails,
anything.
and I've been,
You are not missing anything. Oh, gosh.
once they go off the rails, I just move on. It's just how I process information.
I was scrolling for stuff on something in particular online, and I even forgot because I was scrolling looking for something, and I see his stupid face there wearing that old Solo Cup design bandana. Yeah. What the hell's going on there? And I couldn't resist. I totally squirreled on that one. So my phone. Anyways, thank you again, Ann Boyer, and shout out to, we had a couple thank yous. Core Cousin with a cookie over there on Pilled, and Scratchins Released. There was a couple other. P-Quest, thank you for the cookie. General Buford with 3 cookies. Grace Thomas with a cookie as well. Truthful Mama. Love homework assignments. Listen to this. Love homework assignments, and if those have any type of documents, that's even better. You see? I'm telling you.
Okay, so the homework assignment is to take this slide deck, get really accustomed to what's on there, because next week builds on this.
Yes.
And if you get the beginning, the rest will start to make sense. These dots literally start connecting. 2017 is an amazing year, by the way.
Yeah.
So, are you saying should I upload them? Should I post them on X?
Yeah, I don't know how. Well, my husband was going to post them on my account. I don't know if he has yet. But yeah, share those slides. He figured out how to get them quickly all PDF'd, and then all he has to do is throw them out there 4 at a time.
You said they're in the Diggs folder, right?
Yeah, there's the whole PDF file is in the Diggs folder.
Thread and tag Elon. Go for broke.
Go for broke.
Why not? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? He doesn't post you?
Well,
I mean,
like he even knows I exist, right?
I know. I have the same feeling, but I mean, why not? Why not?
All right. There we go.
I'm a big believer in, what's the worst they can say? No.
Keza66 says, title your book, I was right, bitches.
I agree with that. I support that.
What's a good title for this? I just, on YouTube, I titled it Crossfire Timeline, but
yeah, what I did.
Would there be a better timeline? You said it, the CH timeline?
I go from surveillance abuse to political targeting is what I called the deck. That's my title slide. And I take everybody from 2009 to 2016, showing how illegal surveillance became political targeting went after Trump.
Pull up Grok and ask it what will get the most views and clicks. Feed it the deck, or just tell it just give it a little summary or show it the deck, and then ask Grok specifically what will get the most clicks on YouTube. It'll tell you what to headline it.
All right.
That's a good idea. I didn't think of doing that.
I always ask AI, what's the best way to get attention? Hashtag, tell me what to post. I cheat. AI is going to know what the algorithm wants. So.
All right. The most clicks. All right. Well, look it. I try not to do clickbaity shit,
I know, but you got to get it out there. And unfortunately, as long as you're not doing rage bait, you know what I mean? Like, this is not clickbait to me because it's substance.
All right.
Well, if we can figure out how to bottle up all these decks and push them out there as a product line, right? Mm-hmm. Which I've been working carefully because you had suggested this to me, Sean, quite a while ago. And I now build every deck. I PDF the slides. I build a complete notes document with sources. So they're interactive hyperlinks so that I can put them into a published document. much more cleanly, much easier. I've been doing that now for what, about 4 months? All my decks have these. Not only do I have the deck, but I have this really, in fact, several of them I even put in a table of contents so that I can pull that together into these little published products. I would love to see that happen. I would love nothing better, because there's been something interesting that's happened over the years. A lot of stuff that I've done has gotten taken. What's interesting is they can never talk to the research because they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't do any of it. So I would love to get my voice out there saying, no, this is the story, guys. Not what you're hearing over here. This is the story. Here's the source material to prove it.
That's why I'm asking the audience to see if they can help us get you on
Mhm.
whatever other shows, podcasts, help us push it out. If nothing else, just please keep reposting the shows.
Mhm.
You know, if nothing else, put it everywhere. Put it
Yeah.
on Facebook. Put it everywhere. Because I genuinely want people to understand what we're talking about. I mean,
Mhm.
everything that you all have been doing, even just in 26, from the shadow banking to mapping all the networks to, but now we're getting into the nitty gritty. You know, and a lot of people,
Yeah.
even people.
I
that
started
like-
this year with the idea that I needed to explain what was being exploited, right? That's why the shadow banking series. Then I needed to explain how the cartels took over the shadow banking system, and I went through that. And then I went through the timeline from 2008, which is a marker year, through today, and what was taking place there. And then, of course, we've talked about City of London, the shadow banking. I'm divergent on most popular opinion there, because not actually City of London, it's the illicit use of that mechanism, which is why you've got all these sanctions against things like the Shamkhani network, the Zanjani network, all of these networks, right? Because it's illicit use of a shadow banking system that was literally designed to operate in the shadows because of the lack of regulation. So it was always going to be illicitly used. Then I went through the whole surveillance network when I showed you the domestic surveillance perspective, and how that became, through Five Eyes, became a foreign influence problem, right? And now we're going through this timeline. That just summarizes the bulk of my research for this year alone.
I got it from I'm just going to use from surveillance abuse to political targeting.
That's the title
Yeah,
slide of the
I'm
deck.
just going to use that.
Okay, great.
So
Did
we'll
Groff-
have a part 2 and we'll have a part 3
It looks like part 4.
and even a part 4. All right. And hopefully mapping this all out, and I'll we'll post it on you. We'll go live on YouTube for at least the next 3, and that way it'll be a resource for folks. And by understanding this whole sequence of events that started, well, arguably back in 2009, but we'll just say for argument's sake, 2016, the infamous escalator. Then I think it'll help clear it up for people and understand the bigger picture, and then hopefully, God willing, from there into the grand conspiracy case. Hopefully,
That's
we
what I'm
start to
laying
see
out
that bear
here.
fruit. So
Actually, you're starting to see it build. You can wait do you see what I've got for 2019, 20, 21? What do you see what I've got?
yeah,
By the time I'm done with this, by the way, you should be able to understand the components of the grand conspiracy case.
a lot of
Put all the
people. I
other
think a
garbage
lot of
aside.
people are discouraged about the whole grand conspiracy case. They think it's going to be a nothing burger. Not to mention, on top of that, you got the Doomers. Shout out to
Not-
Lauren Schroyer and them.
I can't
that are-
help what people
Yeah.
limited knowledge think.
No, of course not. But
If you don't avail yourself of the information that's happening,
yeah.
I, what am I supposed to do?
Which I get it. You know, a lot of people might not put much stock in it because it's not being uttered on mainstream press, Fox News.
Yeah, right.
But
The very
you know what?
press that they weaponize
Yeah.
to make sure that they can continue to target people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
But find your trusted sources. I would encourage you to find your trusted sources and stick with them. Like, for instance, I'll tell you mine, and I won't speak for Mayor and Kathy here, but I kind of think they have the same view. Catherine Herridge, John Solomon, to name a few. And
There's two.
keep it small.
Cheryl
Atkinson, yes. But keep it small. Keep that circle small, right?
You don't need a lot of
You
source
don't. You shouldn't
material.
need. And then outside of
But
that,
your biggest source.
yeah, the actual
Stick with
sources.
Grassley, Johnson.
Yeah.
Their Senate sites and the IG reports.
And official legal documents outside of that.
Anything Scott Bessent does.
Yeah.
Oh,
Scott.
anything Scott Bessent does, you just hang on to his every word.
Yep.
That man's awesome. He's kicking butt.
Yes, he is.
How many boyfriends you got now, Kathy?
He's gay.
I
He's
told
lighting
you,
the loafers.
He's gay.
Yeah.
He's just
working on a
he's just
harem.
he's just a close friend category. I can't go any further. But I told you at the beginning, I'm a polygamist now.
Oh boy. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining. I'm going to go raid Johnny. By the way, everybody listening over on Rumble, do me a solid, guys. Please do me a solid. I haven't gotten Johnny up to 1,000 followers. I can't even believe that's even a thing. But yes, and Johnny's live right now. We're going to send you guys over to him. He is doing a interview right now with a guy named OG Mike, a big YouTube channel. And his show's titled "What Are You, Wise Guy?" And great interview happening right now over there. So guys, when I send you over to Johnny, please show him some love and hit that follow button. I told him, I promised him we're going to get his follower numbers up to 1,000, hopefully before the week's over.
And mine too.
Yes. Oh, please, Mayor, drop your link in the chat. I think
Marissa's been doing that.
Yep. Shout out to Marissa, guys. Make sure you.
God bless her.
Well, Mayor's, you're getting a lot of love today, especially. And then, all right, real quick, Feisty, if there was one message that you wanted everybody to take from today's show, what would that message be?
Stick with the truth.
All right, stick with the truth.
We are so close. Do not get disheartened. Now's not the time.
Yep.
Right.
Agreed. What about you, Mayor?
I agree. The big finish is coming. It feels like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love the role John Solomon's suddenly playing. I love his role.
Yeah, me too.
Think about it. He's validated media now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. The alternative media.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thank you, ladies. I'm going to get ready for the news tonight at 9:30, and I'll
That's a very
speak
good
to you
time.
both soon. I'll see you on Thursday. Feisty. Guys, make sure also don't forget to check out Truth Blitz every day except for Wednesdays, right at America Rising Media. That's where you're going to catch the lovely Mare Bear and Krista Brace Piano. Thank you to the mods. God bless the mods. Please show some love to our amazing, beautiful, badass mods out there when you see them. They work their asses off, and we appreciate all their hard work. Thank you for all this love and support, for hitting that like, for hitting the red pill, for all the gold pill love. And I will see you all later. God bless. Thank you, ladies.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Whispers in the static, questions in the fire. The veil is torn in the sea. reason, eyes of flame, unmasking the players in the shadowed game, where the silence breaks, the hidden shakes. She names the unspoken,